Chapter 581, Tai plants the Tao, the state of the spirit land. The yin-yang harmony technique belonged to the heretical path of cultivation methods. Although he wasn't opposed to passing on this heretical cultivation method, Lu Pingan's personality clearly wasn't a good fit. Why not try the 100 Refinements treasure body art? A thought struck Lu Changxing. In fact, he had always wanted to pass the 100 Refinements treasure body art to one of his children. Because if his children practiced it, it could enhance his own power. If he were to help a child refine a magical treasure and assist in cultivating the 100 Refinements treasure body art, then it would be tantamount to doubling the benefits of a single magical treasure. But this technique was not only difficult to practice, but also extremely dangerous. If one were even slightly overzealous in the process, it was easy to make mistakes. This could lead to the body being unable to withstand the effects of the sacrifice, leading to disintegration and demise. Therefore, the son who cultivated this technique must be calm and tight-lipped. In his view, Lu Pingan was quite suitable in this regard. Furthermore, as a martial arts expert, Lu Pingan already had a foundation in body refining. However, the 100 Refinements treasure body art is more of a supplementary body refining technique and not truly to the path of body cultivation. To cultivate this art, one must first draw qi into the body. After thinking for a moment, Lu Changxing realized that at this stage, Lu Pingan was simply not capable of cultivating the 100 Refinements treasure body art. At once, he let Lu Pingan choose from several techniques he had previously acquired from robber cultivators. In his more than 2 decades in the cultivation world, he had met many kind-hearted people and obtained several good techniques. The best among them was naturally the Red Phoenix True Scripture. Although this technique only went up to the core formation stage, it was, after all, a peripheral sect-level technique. Next, there was the exquisite level, Purple True Solar Scripture, acquired from 5 robber cultivators in the Zhoushiao Immortal City, as well as another exquisite level technique, Greenwood Sunfire technique, he had obtained previously. As for high-grade cultivation techniques, he also had 4 or 5 of them. This, Lu Pingan, upon seeing these techniques, scratched his head uncertain which to learn. Let's go with this one. Seeing his son's indecisive face, Lu Changxing directly handed over the Purple True Solar Scripture. The reason he chose this technique was that it offered a cultivation method that combined magical dual cultivation. 70% was dedicated to qi refinement, and 30% to body refinement. This would be a good way to see if Lu Pingan had any talent in the area of body refinement. All right. Upon hearing this, Lu Pingan immediately nodded his agreement. However, since Lu Pingan couldn't read the jade slip yet, his father had to understand the technique and teach it to him. It took more than an hour for Lu Changxing to explain the first layer of the cultivation method, drawing qi into the body, and the circulation through the meridians. All right, practice well, and if you have any questions, come and ask me later. If I'm not around, you can go to your Aunt Zishao for help. Lu Changxing thought for a moment and then added. He planned to let Ling Zixiao have a look at the technique later on. When he was not present, she could provide some guidance. Yes, father. Lu Pingan took his words seriously and nodded earnestly. Determined in his heart, he resolved to make this cultivation a success. After seeing to Lu Pingan's matters, Lu Changxing went to the backyard to spend time with his wives and children. Lu Miaoyun brought over several letters, indicating that in recent times, many people had written to him. Lu Changxing glanced through the letters. His good friends Han Lin and Zhao Qingxing had written to congratulate him on achieving foundation establishment. His brother-in-law Xia Zhaoyang also sent a letter offering congratulations for his foundation establishment. Besides these 3, there were also 2 friends he had made at the 9 Dragons Market, Yu Maocheng and Gao He. Apart from congratulating him on his foundation establishment, Gao He also reported on the status of the Peace Talisman Hall. He mentioned that since Lu Changxing's departure, the store's business had declined due to a lack of second-rank talismans being replenished. If Lu Changxing had the time, he could supply some spirit talismans. Having read the letters, Lu Changxing replied to each one, instructing Lu Miaoyun to send them back on his behalf. He also took out a stack of spirit talismans and handed them to Lu Miaochang, instructing him to arrange for their delivery to the Red Leaf Valley market. A portion was for the Peace Talisman Hall. The rest was for the Liu family. After all, as the Liu family's great elder and a second-grade talisman master, he still had to contribute something. After all, these spirit talismans would eventually be converted into contribution points and credited to his name. After he had dealt with these matters and saw that it was getting late, Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao engaged in dual cultivation to deepen their affection. Afterwards, Zixiao, I may be quite busy in the coming time and won't always be around, he said. I've given Pingon the purple true solar scripture for his cultivation. If he encounters any issues during the process, guide him a little, Lu Changsheng said, his arms around the soft and tender Ling Zixiao, whose skin was white with a rosy underglow. All right, my lord, rest assured, Ling Zixiao replied in a gentle and delicate voice. Immediately afterward, Ling Zixiao and Lu Changsheng began discussing the matter of the family's spirit land. In the past month, she had made a brief inquiry into the Qingyun region and the situation of the family powers. At the same time, she had also learned which families were preparing to sell their family spirit lands and relocate completely. Because the Qingyun sect had a certain rule. After a great battle such as the one at Blackwater Pool, there should be 3 years of stable development, with no invasions or outbreaks of conflict allowed. Therefore, many families who lost their ancestors in battle were still struggling, readying themselves for a last-ditch effort. They hoped to rise to the foundation establishment level and stabilize their family situations. As such, only 2 or 3 families were interested in selling their spirit lands. But Ling Zixiao was not very satisfied with these families. Because the size of these families' spirit lands, their locations, the nearby marketplaces, and other such factors were all relatively poor. At present, the spirit lands of these families willing to sell, as well as those who lost their ancestral powers, are all pretty average, she said. My lord, you mentioned before that it is possible to buy Spirit Vein Dojo through Qingyun sect? If my lord has connections within the Qingyun sect, purchasing a high-quality spiritual vein blessed land, even if we must build from scratch, is still worth considering for the long term, she suggested. Ling Zixiao spoke up, conveying her thoughts. As an array master from Zhouxiao Immortal City, her standards were naturally quite high. She considered the spirit lands of these families that might be for sale average and somewhat beneath her concern. Even Qingzhou Mountain, in her opinion, was quite average and not very impressive. Regarding the spirit vein dojos of the Qingyun sect, I am not very clear myself, Lu Changsheng said. All I have is a Qingyun order, which represents a favor owed by the Qingyun sect, capable of making certain demands. I plan to use the Qingyun order to obtain a qualification to purchase a spirit land if we don't find a suitable one, Lu Changsheng revealed, not hiding the matter of the Qingyun order. Qingyun order, Ling Zixiao pondered upon hearing this and nodded thoughtfully. In that case, my lord could find out in advance which spirit vein dojos are currently for sale by the Qingyun sect, she proposed. I will also continue to investigate the situation of the nearby spiritual vein blessed lands, Ling Zixiao continued to say. Very well, thank you for your hard work, Zixiao, Lu Changsheng responded with a nod. After dinner, he planned to write a letter to ask Xiaoxia if she had any knowledge in this regard. After spending time with his wives and children, Lu Changsheng did not head straight for seclusion. Instead, he began to craft third-rank talismans. His plan was to first create some third-rank talismans to carry on his person. Moreover, during this period, he wanted to take care of his concubines who were currently trying to conceive. Previously, at the second-rank talisman master ceremony, he took in 2 concubines and 5 maids. All 7 women had only given birth to 1 child each, and after such a long rest, they were already able to have a second one. Although he was intent on having quality offspring, since the women were already in his harem, it was natural to want them to conceive. Furthermore, including Lu Pingon, he now had 39 children with spiritual roots. If he could have one more child with a spiritual root, that would bring the total number of offspring with spiritual roots to 40, and perhaps that would prompt the system to give him some child money. Besides, the spiritual roots of these 7 women were quite decent. There were 2 with a 5th grade spiritual root, and 1 with a 6th grade spiritual root. Yet when he thought about the 40th child, Lu Changsheng's mind once again went to the child in Nangong Mili's womb. As a nascent soul immortal, there was a high probability that her child would have a spiritual root, even a good one at that. If the child in her belly was born, it would very likely be the 40th child with a spiritual root. Sigh. After glancing at the system's offspring tab and seeing that the child was still there, Lu Changsheng exhaled lightly, slightly reassured. Yet he couldn't help worrying about Nangong Mili and Meng Xiaoquan's current situation. Chapter 582, Fusion Spirit Pill, Lu Maiage's Heavenly Foundation Establishment. 2-in-1, 2,000 monthly ticket bonus, _1 mists veiled the mountain peak. Atop it, a fierce and terrifying blood jade spider perched, its body shining with a sinister red glow. In its pupils, there reflected a spirit pool, clear as a mirror, and a white-robed maiden sitting by its side, her hands wrapped around her knees. The girl had delicate features and an ethereal temperament, her black hair cascading loosely down her back, staring into the spirit pool at her own reflection, lost in tranquility. After a long while, the girl came back to herself with a slight sigh. With her hands, she gently stirred the water, causing ripples to dance across the calm surface of the pool. Then, the maiden slipped off her embroidered shoes and stockings, revealing a pair of delicate, round feet, white as uncarved jade. As her toes gently touched the water, the instant they met the surface, they playfully curled, casting tiny ripples. The sparkling water flowed, enveloping the girl's fair and lustrous feet, covering her delicate and exquisite ankles, bringing a look of contentment to her face. Suddenly, the girl playfully wiggled her feet in the water, causing droplets to sprinkle out like round, glistening beads. Under the sunlight, her snow-white feet in the shimmering pool water looked like treasures agleam, crystal clear. Xiao Chan. At that moment, not far away, a devastatingly beautiful woman with a seductive face, previously sitting with closed eyes, opened her eyes and stood up, calling out softly to the girl. She wore a gorgeous purple dress that draped over a figure sinuously seductive, with curves that were nothing short of stunning. Proud and supreme, her bosom was difficult to contain, and her waist was slender and willowy, barely a handful when grasped. Beneath that slender waist, the lines shifted dramatically, showcasing her round and voluptuous rear, explosively seductive. Though the woman bore a seductive allure throughout her being, her eyes held a commanding presence that was intimidating. She emitted an icy, overbearing elegance, a regal authority that made others feel shamed before her. Master? Meng Xiaochan, hearing her master's voice, turned her head to look at Nangong Mili. Seeing her master's proud bearing, she couldn't help but feel a tinge of envy. Xiaochan, it's time to go. Nangong Mili released a breath. Gazing towards the horizon, she spoke. Her slender phoenix eyes glimmered with an entrancing magic. Master, have you recovered? Meng Xiaochan pressed her lips together and inquired with concern upon hearing this. I have recovered around 70 to 80%. Staying here for a full recovery would take too much time. Nangong Mili took a deep breath, her chest rising proudly as she spoke softly. In her voice, her palm unconsciously stroked her flat belly. She knew that if she continued to recuperate, the child within her would eventually affect her strength. Should danger arise, it would be exceedingly troublesome. Moreover, she was acutely aware that the Lockhart goo was subtly influencing her. Thus, she needed to return to the Five Poisons cult in Jin Kingdom at the earliest. Only back at the cult could she give birth to the child in peace. Only then would she have the conditions to give her child an advantage even in the womb. Additionally, the Five Poisons cult's unique goo insect, the phoenix goo, possessed the effect of rebirth from ashes, washing away all blemishes. It had the power to counter the effects of the Lockhart goo. Thinking of how under the influence of the Lockhart goo, she developed feelings for Lu Changsheng in spite of all his demeaning treatment and trampling, Nangong Mili couldn't help but feel a surge of shame, anger, and murderous intent, wishing to flay and dismember Lu Changsheng. Even if Nangong Mili were to fall in love with someone, it would never be in such a manner. That dog of a man must possess a certain peerless Daoist body, she mused. Otherwise, with his mere foundation establishment cultivation, he definitely shouldn't have such ability, Nangong Mili's beautiful eyes narrowed, emitting a chilling clarity, as she recalled how Lu Changxing healed her with the yin-yang energies. Her true elixir, nourished by Lu Changxing, had begun to manifest a trace of the golden core charm. She resolved that once she had fully recovered and dealt with the Lockhart Gu, she would capture that dog of a man, Lu Changxing, and bring him back to the Five Poisons cult. To humiliate him in every possible way, compelling him to nourish her golden core. Not only would this be her revenge, but it would also elevate her true elixir to the immortal golden core. But as she thought about the process of nurturing the golden core, she recalled those times she wished to forget, and resentment tinged her slender phoenix eyes, her heart fluttering with indefinable agitation and her emotions churning. Huff! Nangong Mili steadied her tumultuous emotions. Looking at the misty sky bead within her, her lovely lips pursed slightly, and her body surged with a glow. She transformed into a charming and graceful lady. But the seductive and bewitching temperament that pervaded her vanished without trace. "Let's go," she said to her disciple Meng Xiaochan in a soft voice. Though she knew that her affliction with the Lockhart Gu was related to Meng Xiaochan, she understood that Meng Xiaochan was even more deeply affected by the Gu. Her actions were understandable under those circumstances. Moreover, the fact that Meng Xiaochan managed to confess about the Lockhart Gu to her master indicated that her feelings for her master were not weaker than the Gus effects. In such a situation, she naturally wouldn't blame Meng Xiaochan too harshly. "Yes, master," Meng Xiaochan, seeing her own master's transformation, promptly gathered up the formation. Then, she touched the purple bracelet on her wrist, causing her appearance and temperament to change. Soon after, the two of them rode a cloud veil, turned into a streak of light, and vanished from the mountaintop. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. During this time, Lu Changxing had his concubines bear his children and then began his seclusion to cultivate and forge the 99 mysterious true strategy. This artifact was exceedingly complex, even more so than the 7 luminaries' heart lamp, which was his life-bound magic treasure. Chapter 583, Fusion Spirit Pill, Lu Maiage's Heavenly Foundation Establishment. 2-in-1, 2,000 monthly ticket bonus. The true artifact is composed of 129,699 profound truth tokens. It can change its appearance at will, forming a talisman formation. However, the one Lu Changxing made was a simplified version. It consists of 10,800 profound truth tokens. For Lu Changxing, 10,800 tokens were already enough for use. At present, his divine sense mana was not capable of controlling 129,600 profound truth tokens. Even 10,800 was a bit too much. 99 profound truth strategy, form. Inside the cave dwelling, Lu Changxing's mana circulated within him as he formed hand seals. One could see that around him, jet black iron tokens engraved with spiritual patterns and flowing with mysterious light emerged, rotating around him and aligning neatly. His hands continuously formed seals, inputting spell after spell into the iron tokens. Eventually, Lu Changxing flicked his fingertips, and a drop of essence blood flew out. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Instantly, all the iron tokens converged towards the essence blood, forming a jet black iron tactic streaming with mysterious light. The iron tactic changed its shape in Lu Changxing's hands, resembling a jade token, an iron rod, a disc, and finally taking the form of a jet black folding fan. This was one of the abilities of the 99 profound truth strategy. It could change the appearance of the talisman instrument at will. Phew! With this 99 profound truth strategy talisman instrument, if I set up a talisman formation again, its power and effect will be doubled. At that time, when facing a false core immortal, as long as I seize the initiative, I can directly confine and suppress them with the talisman formation. Moreover, with this talisman instrument, ordinary methods would not even dream of breaking through my talisman formation. Lu Changxing looked at the folding fan in his hand, his face showing delight. When he had visited Jianghu Immortal City before, he had witnessed the false core patriarch from the Xiahou family clash with the Qiyun true immortal from the Qiyun sect. He had a rough understanding of the strength of a false core immortal. Knowing that with this talisman instrument, when he used hundreds of talismans to form a formation, his offensive would far surpass that of a false core immortal. he could directly blast a false core immortal to death. And furthermore, with this talisman instrument, the effect of trapping enemies with the talisman formation greatly increased. It wasn't like before, when faced with a strike from a talisman treasure, the talisman formation would have one of its corners destroyed. However, becoming a false core immortal is not simple. If I don't seize the initiative, or if the opponent acts first, the outcome is still hard to predict. So, if I can avoid fighting beyond my realm, then I will not. Lu Changxing exhaled lightly, not overestimating himself. He knew that becoming a false core immortal was not simple. The opponent wouldn't let him make the first move and seize the initiative. If the opponent seized the initiative, although he could rely on the talisman formation to defend and even break through, the outcome was uncertain. After all, in the cultivation world, those who could cultivate to the level of the false core had many methods, and not a few were simple. Perhaps the opponent would have some unexpected techniques. Next up is this 9 treasure jade rui. As long as I refine this spiritually enlightened spiritual treasure into my life-bound treasured bone, by then, gaining the 9 great divine abilities, facing a false core immortal will be no problem at all. I could even contend with a nascent soul immortal. Lu Changxing gently touched the 9 treasure jade rui at his breastbone. After breaking through the 5th layer of the 100 refinements treasure body art, he began to refine this sky-reaching spiritual treasure. But to refine a sky-reaching spiritual treasure into a life-bound treasured bone was not so simple. Moreover, he had no time to refine this sky-reaching spiritual treasure for so long. He could only rely on the automatic circulation of the 100 refinements treasure body technique to slowly refine the treasure bit by bit. Lu Changxing didn't give it more thought. Eager to refine the sky-reaching spiritual treasure, he walked out of the cave dwelling. He went to check on Lu Maiage's condition in the cave dwelling next door. She was still in the process of converting spiritual power to cultivation level with the water of virtue technique. Although the Saturn solar sword technique she was practicing was inherited from the same lineage as the Tao, which made the conversion much simpler, it was estimated that it would still take 3 to 4 months to complete the conversion. After spending some affectionate time with Lu Miaoge without disturbing her, he went into the backyard of the family home to chat and inquire about the family situation. During the conversation, Lu Changxing learned that he had been in seclusion for nearly 5 months. 5 months, that means the child in Nangong Mili's belly is already a year old. Why has the child not been born yet? Lu Changsheng's heart paused suddenly, thinking of something. Counting the time, it had been a year since he learned through the system that Nangong Mili was pregnant, yet he hadn't felt the thrill of the spiritual root boost. System. Lu Changxing immediately called out in his mind, opening the system panel to check. Offspring, 153 for 157, 157, so the child hasn't been born yet? The longer the pregnancy, the higher the probability that the child has a remarkable spiritual root talent. Just like Wang Shu, who was born after a year, it seems that this child's talent might be good. Lu Changxing looked at the offspring tab in front of him, took a deep breath, and set his mind at ease. His heart was filled with anticipation for this unborn child. After all, this was the child of a nascent soul immortal. At the strength level of nascent soul, it's very difficult to conceive. But once conception occurs, the child that is born will most likely possess a spiritual root, and the talent of that spiritual root would not be meager. Little Wang Shu. After chatting with his wife for a while, Lu Changxing saw Lu Wangshu not far away, looking serene and eating lotus seed soup, and called out to her warmly. This 4-year-old daughter inherited his and Xiao Xia's looks, naturally resembling a carved doll and very adorable. However, in response to Lu Changsheng's warm greeting, Lu Wangshu, who was eating her lotus seed soup, just glanced over and continued eating without paying him any mind. Little Wangshu, did you miss Daddy? Lu Changxing looked at the adorable Lu Wangshu eating, crouched beside her, and continued speaking. You can't talk while eating. Chapter 584, Fusion Spirit Pill, Lu Maiage's Heavenly Foundation Establishment. 2-in-1, 2,000 monthly ticket bonus. Lu Wangshu, with a spoon in hand, spoke to Lu Changxing in a baby voice. Then do you miss Daddy? Hearing this, Lu Changxing made a face of mock grievance and said, Hee hee, no, oh woo. Upon hearing these words, Lu Wangshu chuckled and said as she scooped another lotus seed into her mouth. Wow, Daddy is heartbroken. When Lu Changxing heard this, he immediately looked distressed and said, in his heart, he couldn't help but think that he really hadn't spent much time with his daughter. Most of the time, he was busy with seclusion and cultivation, causing the father-daughter relationship to become estranged. Miss you, miss you, miss you. Seeing Lu Changxing like this, Lu Wangshu immediately looked up with her little face, showing a healing smile with her little tiger teeth and said, tricked you, just teasing you, hee hee hee. Lu Changxing chuckled. He had actually been fooled by this 4-year-old little girl in front of him. Humph, you actually teased Daddy. Then tell me, how do you miss Daddy? Lu Changxing asked his daughter, who was eating lotus seed soup again, in a gentle voice. Lu Wangshu tilted her head to think and put down the spoon in her hand. Then, resting her chin in her hands, she said with an adorable and obedient face, I miss Daddy like this. So good. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing rubbed his daughter's little head. Humph humph humph. Lu Wangshu giggled a couple of times and said, not really, I'm teasing you again, Lulu Lulu. Saying so, she picked up the spoon and took another mouthful, woo. Well, you little rascal, always teasing Daddy. Lu Changxing said in mock annoyance, gently pinching her porcelain, fair and rosy cheeks. After Lu Wangshu finished eating, he took her to play at the kindergarten. Now that the Lu family had Lu Xianxia, the puppet master, the facilities of the Lu family amusement park were much improved and fully equipped. Many concubines were playing here with their children. When they saw Lu Changxing bringing Lu Wangshu over, they immediately greeted him respectfully. Shortly after, Lu Wangshu sat on a green jade luan bird-shaped rocking car. As the rocking car swayed, a beautiful song also began to play. Daddy, you come too. Sitting on the rocking car, Lu Wangshu called out happily to Lu Changxing, signaling him to sit on the one next to hers and join her. Huh? Are you kidding me? Your dad, with my foundation establishment great cultivator status, second-rank talisman master, second-rank alchemist, and second-rank puppet master credentials, the dream of billions of fairies and witches in the cultivation world, playing such childish things. Moments later, 2 rocking cars began to sway together, starting a duet. Lu Changxing, seated in a car that did not quite fit his size, began to sway with the rocking car, his furrowed brow slowly relaxing. Let's be honest, this thing is quite fun. He had built this thing so many years ago and had never experienced it himself. After the song ended, Lu Changxing saw the concubines and maids nearby, who were with their children, staring blankly at him. Surprise and astonishment filled their eyes. Cough cough, this thing is quite decent. The children seem to enjoy it when they play. Lu Changxing coughed lightly twice, stepped off the rocking car, and spoke earnestly to the maids. We do. According to Lu Xianxia, it was designed by you, my lord. The children really like it. Indeed, I tried it too, and it's quite interesting. Daddy, this is fun too. The wives and children immediately said aloud. Hee hee, I'm glad you like it. Seeing this, Lu Changxing laughed and said. It wouldn't be good to just spend time with Lu Wangshu, the little girl, alone. Though as a father, he might have his favorites. Yet he wouldn't be overly obvious with his partiality. After spending a day with the children, after dinner, Lu Changxing went to the corner of the courtyard to check on his golden armor bean mother. This golden armor bean mother had been planted for 8 years and was at the flowering and fruiting stage. There were 8 blossoms in total, which meant there would be 8 golden armor spirit beans. That was close to what Lu Changxing had estimated beforehand. Looking at the blossoms, Lu Changxing guessed that in another 2 years, they would bear spirit beans. This made him somewhat excited about these golden armor spirit beans. True, 8 beans would yield only 8 golden armor warriors. But these were, after all, his very first Dao soldiers. Chirp chirp chirp. Just then, Lu Changxing saw Lu Miaoyan taking the green jade luan bird out for a walk. The bird had been raised for 2 years and had grown considerably larger. Its feathers shone like green jade, stunningly beautiful, brimming with an aura of immortality. However, to use this green jade luan bird as a mount, Lu Changxing reckoned it would need another 7 or 8 years of raising. Seeing the green jade luan bird reminded Lu Changxing that he still had a cold blue dark turtle in his spiritual pet bag. He had taken this mysterious turtle out of the system space when he was in Jianghu Immortal City, and had kept it in the spiritual pet bag since then. After all, he didn't see much value in raising such a creature. But instead of subjecting it to feast and famine in the pet bag, it would be better to have someone in the household raise it. After all, a proper environment and consistent feeding would significantly aid in the growth of a spiritual pet. Lu Changsheng's thoughts immediately went to his wife, Lu Miaoge. The turtle was of water and ice attributes. Lu Miaoge was cultivating the water of virtue technique, which aligned closely with the attributes of the cold blue dark turtle. But considering Lu Miaoge was quite busy at the moment, fully devoted to switching her cultivation technique and had no time to care for pets. Right away, Lu Changxing thought for a moment, then went to Chu Zhenshin's courtyard to find his daughter, Lu Wangshu. Because Lu Miaoge was currently occupied, the daughter was being looked after in turns by Lu Miaoyan, Lu Miaohuan, and Chu Zhenzhin. Little Wangshu, do you want a pet? Lu Changxing asked his daughter in a gentle voice. Daddy, what kind of pet? Chapter 585, Fusion Spirit Pill, Lu Miaoge's Heavenly Foundation Establishment. 2-in-1, 2,000 monthly ticket bonus, _4 Lu Wangshu, upon hearing these words, tilted her little head and said cutely. Little turtle, take a look and see if you like it. Lu Changxing took out the cold blue dark turtle from the spiritual pet bag. This cold blue dark turtle was only the size of a pot lid, with a blue-green body. The shell carried a hint of ice blue color, emanating a faint chill. Because it was still young, the little turtle looked rather clunky and endearingly silly. Feeling Lu Changsheng's presence, the cold blue dark turtle immediately rubbed against Lu Changsheng's feet. Little turtle. Lu Wangshu's little face showed wonder. She immediately squatted down and poked the cold blue dark turtle in front of her with her tender fingers. This cold blue dark turtle, being a demon beast with human-like intelligence, immediately nuzzled its little mistress affectionately. Then it opened its mouth and spouted an oval ice cube onto Lu Wangshu's hands. Lu Wangshu looked at the ice cube, her face filled with surprise, and subconsciously tried to put it in her mouth to taste it. You silly thing, don't just eat anything you find. Lu Changxing immediately snatched the ice cube from his daughter's hand and tapped the cold blue dark turtle. Daddy, I want the little turtle, Lu Wangshu said in a sweet, tender voice. Alright, but let's get this straight, you can't just eat whatever you want, Lu Changxing told Lu Wangshu. Then, he said to Chu Zhenzhin that they should let her help take care of this pet. Otherwise, if really let Lu Wangshu take care of it, she might accidentally kill it. Husband, don't worry, I'll watch over Wangshu, Chu Zhenzhin said softly, squatting alongside to watch the cold blue dark turtle. She then discussed with Lu Wangshu and decided to name this heaven-rank demon beast Little Ice. Half a month later. That day, Lu Changxing was having a casual chat with Ling Zixiao. They planned to head out to inspect a few spiritual lands in person once Lu Miaoge broke through to Foundation establishment, and also take a look at some spirit vein dojos being sold by Qinyan sect. Just then, a gust of airflow, accompanied by a system notification, sounded. Congratulations to the host, as 20 of your children have completed Qi induction and stepped onto the path of immortality, obtaining a bloodline effect, 5% increased likelihood of birthing children with a spiritual root, and 1 opportunity for a lucky draw. 20, has Pingon completed Qi induction? Lu Changxing, upon hearing this system notification, paused mentally. Calculating the time, Lu Pingon should have fully completed Qi induction by now. He kept his composure and continued chatting with Ling Zixiao. An hour later, Lu Changxing stepped out of the little courtyard and learned that indeed, Lu Pingon had completed Qi induction. With a 5th grade spiritual root, taking just over half a year to finish Qi induction wasn't particularly fast, but also not too slow. Therefore, Lu Changxing prompted him to continue with his cultivation at ease. He planned to try teaching him the 100 Refinements treasure body art, once Lu Pingan broke through to the 4th level energy refinement. System, lucky draw. Lu Changxing went to the study and mentally invoked it. Curious to see what he would draw this time. The system roulette appeared, a streak of golden light emerged and spun around, finally stopping at the elixir medicine section. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a 3rd rank melding spirit pill. The reward has been sent to the system space. The host can check it at any time. An elixir icon immediately appeared from the roulette wheel, accompanied by a system notification. Melding spirit pill? Lu Changxing didn't know what kind of elixir this was. Although he was a 2nd rank alchemist, his knowledge of elixirs was limited to the 2nd rank. He had never heard of this melding spirit pill before. However, with prior experience, he knew that such elixirs, offered singly, were generally quite rare and valuable. With a slight stir of his mental spirit, information about the melding spirit pill emerged in the system space. Elixir, melding spirit pill, quality, 3rd rank, description. Women who are 3 months pregnant can take this pill to guarantee the birth of a child with a spiritual root and also enhance the quality of the child's spiritual root. Hiss, taking an elixir guarantees the birth of a spiritual root and enhances its quality. Lu Changxing, reading the description of the elixir's effects, revealed a look of delight in his eyes. Although this elixir had no direct use for him, it could ensure that at least one of his children would possess a spiritual root and enhance the quality of the child's spiritual root. Such a good thing. I wonder if I could make this melding spirit pill after becoming a 3rd rank alchemist, Lu Changxing thought to himself, eyeing the elixir. But he also knew that this kind of 3rd rank elixir probably required rare ingredients and was not easy to concoct. Who should I give this pill to? Lu Changxing pondered for a moment, thinking about who to administer the elixir to. He currently had 2 concubines and 1 maid who were pregnant. If they took the melding spirit pill, it would guarantee the birth of offspring with spiritual roots. Forget it, I'll bring out this pill later, Lu Changxing concluded after a moment's thought, planning to save the elixir for when Ling Zixiao or Lu Xianxia became pregnant again. That way, not only could he ensure the child possessed a spiritual root, but also greatly improve the quality of the child's spiritual root. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, another 3 months had passed. During these days, although Lu Changxing hadn't secluded himself completely for cultivation, he spent most of his time integrating the 9 treasure jade rui. With the rest of his free time, he spent it with his wives, concubines, and children, crafting talismans. After all, his own shop, the Lu family's shop, needed 2nd rank talismans as the signature spirit talismans every month. He couldn't always use his own talismans to help with family expenses. If he ran out of talismans on his person, insufficient to set up a talisman formation, he would feel insecure. Of course, he hadn't forgotten about the remaining 4 pregnant maids at home either. Using the 5 aggregates proliferation method, he arranged for all 4 women to conceive. That day, inside a quaint and tranquil grotto. Chapter 586, Fusion Spirit Pill, Lu Xianxia's Heavenly Foundation Establishment. 2-in-1, 2,000 monthly ticket bonus, _5 Lu Changxing and Lu Xianxia shared a tender moment. During a previous intimate moment, Lu Changxing had a sudden inspiration. His yin-yang energies could nourish both the Dao Foundation and true elixirs. So he wondered if they could also be used to nourish the Tai Dao seed. After all, this Dao seed shared the same origin as him, and theoretically, it should be possible. With the intention of trying it out, Lu Changxing conducted an experiment. As expected, Lu Xianxia reported that the foundational depth of the Tai Dao seed had been enhanced. Thus, the yin-yang energies, which originally belonged to Ling Zixiao, were now shared equally between the 2 women. Afterward, Lu Xianxia lay weakly in Lu Changxing's arms, quietly feeling the nourishment of the Tai Dao seed by the yin-yang energies. However, at the moment when the Tai Dao seed was refining the yin-yang energies, a sudden impulse surfaced in Lu Xianxia's heart. The water of virtue technique within her began to stir restlessly. It started to operate on its own, actively attempting to break through to the 2nd level of the technique. Lu Changsheng sensed fluctuations in spiritual power and immediately looked towards Lu Miaoge, asking what was happening. Is this a self-initiated foundation establishment? Lu Miaoge's brows slightly furrowed, instantly understanding what was happening. In the cultivation world, there is a saying that when one's cultivation technique is refined to the utmost limit, the opportunity to break through the foundation establishment on one's own will emerge. This is the heavenly foundation establishment. As long as one follows this elusive thread of spiritual mechanism and breaks through the foundation establishment, success rates are as high as 50%. This probability is comparable to using a foundation establishment elixir or foundation establishment spirit objects. Moreover, after breaking through, one's mana and Tao foundation would be even more pure and robust. This opportunity for heavenly foundation establishment must be due to the profound mysteries of the Tai Xingxue Ju. Or perhaps Changsheng's Tai Dao seed is too vigorous, causing the spiritual foundation within me to be equally strong. Thus the technique is automatically attempting to break through to the second level, Lu Miaoge murmured to herself, realizing what was happening. She immediately spoke to Lu Changsheng, explaining her current condition. Sister Miaoge, immediately attempt the foundation establishment, and I will protect you. Lu Changsheng said this as soon as he heard the news. Heavenly foundation establishment belongs to the kind of opportunity that comes by chance but cannot be sought. Lu Miaoge had already prepared everything for her foundation establishment. She had the foundation establishment elixir, and also the foundation establishment spirit objects. Now that the opportunity of heavenly foundation establishment had wondrously appeared, it was naturally crucial to seize it and attempt the foundation establishment in one go. Only by doing so could she have the greatest certainty of condensing a perfect foundation base. All right. Lu Miaoge responded softly upon hearing this, without any hesitation. She let the impulse guide her, allowing the technique within her to operate automatically, beginning to challenge the eagerly desired and earnestly pursued foundation establishment. Her technique was almost fully converted to the water of virtue technique, though not yet solidified. But with the help of the Tai Dao seed and heavenly foundation establishment, there was no longer any need to spend time solidifying it. Boom! As Lu Miaoge released her restraint, the Tai Dao seed in her dantian burst forth with great golden light, causing her spiritual lake to churn tumultuously, and the water of virtue technique to operate wildly. The spiritual energy in the cave also became a whirlwind rushing towards her like a sweeping storm at that moment. Foundation establishment elixir. Lu Changsheng reminded from the side. Even though Lu Miaoge's current chances of successfully establishing her foundation were not inferior to his own back then, with confidence levels of 70 to 80%. In his view, one must never cut corners on such matters. Okay. Lu Miaoge took out the foundation establishment elixir and 3 foundation establishment spirit objects from her storage bag. Lu Changsheng had already discussed with her all aspects related to foundation establishment, including when to consume the foundation establishment elixir and use the foundation establishment spirit objects. She took out the foundation establishment elixir and swallowed it. Then she consumed the blood yang fruit in one gulp. Although she had no hidden injuries, she hadn't cultivated any physical techniques. Now, by consuming the blood yang fruit, she aimed to enhance her vitality, spirit, and soul. Rumble. Instantly, the vital energy within Lu Miaoge began to surge wildly, like a raging river. She embarked on the first stage of foundation establishment, the vitality stage. Meanwhile, elsewhere, within another cave dwelling, Lu Yuanzhong, who was meditating and regulating his breath, opened his eyes. What's happening? He frowned slightly, sensing that the surrounding spiritual energy was converging towards the direction where Lu Changsheng was. However, whatever technique Lu Changsheng was cultivating, it shouldn't cause such a massive influx of spiritual energy. Lu Yuanzhong immediately got up and flew towards the cave where Lu Changsheng was to see what was happening. As he approached the cave, a divine sense transmission rang out. Ancestor, Sister Miaoge is attempting the foundation establishment. Please have the family pay extra attention during this time. Lu Changsheng's voice echoed in Lu Yuanzhong's mind. What, she's attempting foundation establishment? Lu Yuanzhong, startled by the news, was taken aback. This was so sudden. He knew that for the past half a year, Lu Miaoge had been refining her mana in the cave dwelling to prepare for the foundation establishment. But he hadn't expected her to attempt it without any forewarning. Ancestor, don't worry, I've already prepared foundation establishment elixirs. Sister Miaoge has a high probability of making a successful breakthrough. Lu Changsheng, with his late-stage foundation establishment divine sense, observed Lu Yuanzhong's expressions and continued to transmit his voice. He hadn't mentioned the foundation establishment elixir before but had indicated to Lu Yuanzhong that he was prepared. Now that Lu Miaoge had begun the attempt, he naturally no longer kept it to himself. You've prepared the foundation establishment elixirs. Lu Yuanzhong was shocked, feeling a massive wave of disbelief washing over him. He initially thought when Lu Changsheng mentioned he was prepared, it pertained to meridian protecting elixirs and spiritual objects. But to his complete surprise, Lu Changsheng had prepared foundation establishment elixirs. And to think he was giving them to Lu Miaoge for her breakthrough. Such a gesture left him, the Lu family ancestor, immensely astonished. Very well, you keep an eye on Miaoge, and I'll make the arrangements here. Chapter 587, Fusion Spirit Pill, Lu Miaoge's Heavenly Foundation Establishment. 2-in-1, 2000 monthly ticket bonus. _6 Lu Yuanzhong didn't think much and immediately sent a telepathic message back. Order the family to seal off Jianghu Mountain, and have everyone enter a state of alert, he commanded. To guard against any possible spies or demon cultivators, or any other families causing trouble at this crucial time. But when he thought of other families causing trouble, his thoughts drifted to Lu Miaofeng's previous incident, and his expression darkened ever so slightly. At this very moment, inside the cave dwelling, Lu Miaoge, with her delicate features and fair skin, sat cross-legged with her eyes closed, akin to a solitary snow lotus from the Tian Shan, independent of the world. She endured the relentless bombardment of the majestic spiritual energy as it assailed her body and meridians. Lu Changsheng, witnessing this scene, promptly slapped his storage bag to avert any shortage of spiritual energy. One after another, middle-grade spirit stones flew out. Although this cave dwelling was situated around a spirit spring, Jianghu Mountain was after all only a middle-grade spirit vein. Far from comparable to the grade dwelling he had rented in Qingyun Market. And Lu Miaoge's attempt at foundation establishment this time was with high probability to condense a perfect Tao foundation. The consumption of spiritual energy would far exceed that of an ordinary foundation establishment. Time trickled by. How much time had passed was unclear. Lu Miaoge's internal spiritual power began to transform into liquid mana. She embarked on the second phase of foundation establishment, the magic barrier. Lu Miaoge opened her beautiful eyes and saw Lu Changsheng crushing one middle-grade spirit stone after another, supplementing her with nature's spiritual energy. A warm current surged in her heart. But at such a critical junction, she dared not get distracted with thoughts and instead refined the prepared Xian Yin true water. Her water attribute spiritual power, cultivated via the water of virtue technique, was perfectly compatible with this Xian Yin true water. Boom boom boom, in Lu Miaoge's Qi ocean core, the Tai Dao seed emitted a dazzling light within the gaseous true lake, aiding her compression of mana, transforming the lake of Qi into a true lake. Once the first droplet of liquid mana formed, and strands of mana mist spread within her dantian, she immediately began the third phase of foundation establishment, divine sense. All three phases of foundation establishment pose no problem, it's nearly perfect. Lu Changsheng, utilizing the Tai Dao seed, could vaguely sense a few aspects of Lu Miaoge's current state. Knowing for the current Lu Miaoge, with the aid of foundation establishment elixirs and foundation establishment spirit objects, overcoming the three phases of foundation establishment was quite effortless. The question remained whether she would condense an unblemished Tao foundation or a perfect Tao foundation. Boom! That day, the movements of spiritual energy in Jianghu Mountain became increasingly fierce, rushing madly towards the cave dwelling where Lu Miaoge was located. Above the cave dwelling, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth slowly converged, forming a massive spiritual energy vortex. What's happening here? A spiritual energy vortex? Is someone attempting foundation establishment? In our clan, who Who else is trying to achieve foundation establishment? Could it be Sister Miaoga is attempting foundation establishment? But where in the clan are there enough spirit stones to support Aunt Miaoga's foundation establishment? After Uncle Changsheng's return from foundation establishment, he might have prepared meridian protecting elixirs for Aunt Miaoga, or even some foundation establishment spiritual objects. Exactly, the Great Elder is not only a foundation establishment great cultivator but also a second-grade talisman master. He is certainly able to acquire such heavenly treasures from the earth. I'm so envious. If only I could encounter a Lang Jun as capable as the Great Elder. Within Jianghu Mountain, many looked up at the spiritual energy vortex above Jianghu Valley and began to discuss aloud. The first ones to guess it was Lu Miaoga making her attempt at foundation establishment. For there were only 3 people within the Lu family currently capable of attempting foundation establishment. Lu Miaofeng had previously failed in foundation establishment and was still recuperating. Another foundation establishment hopeful had just broken through to the 9th level of energy refinement and would need several more years before attempting foundation establishment. The only one remaining was Lu Miaoga. Moreover, throughout this year, Lu Miaoga hadn't left for the Red Leaf Valley market and had stayed reclusive at home. Therefore, many disciples of the Lu family guessed that it was Lu Miaoga attempting foundation establishment. Sister Miaoga, in Jianghu Valley, within a courtyard, Lu Miaofeng opened his eyes and gazed towards the spiritual energy vortex emanating from the spirit spring. He prayed earnestly in his heart that Lu Miaoga would succeed in her foundation establishment. Only then would the sense of guilt and remorse in his heart be alleviated, even if just by a little. This spiritual energy vortex, the Dao foundation that Miaoga is condensing, Lu Yuanzhong, observing the spiritual energy of the universe, faintly guessed that Lu Miaoga's Dao foundation was no ordinary matter. Because the better the Dao foundation being condensed, the more fearsome the absorption and release of nature's spiritual energy would be. And the spiritual energy that Lu Miaoga was currently absorbing and releasing was evidently superior to his and to that of the previous Lu Miaofeng. This made him uncontrollably surprised as to what Lu Changxing had prepared for his niece, other than the foundation establishment elixirs. Miaoga, Lu Yuanding, having been informed by Lu Yuanzhong, knew that it was his daughter, Lu Miaoga, who was attempting foundation establishment. And he also knew that Lu Changxing had prepared a foundation establishment elixir for his daughter. This brought him immense relief and joy. He felt that in his life, the most correct thing he had done was to bring Lu Changxing back to the Lu family from the foot of the Qingyun sect. She's finally breaking through to foundation establishment, huh? It seems at the very least, it's a flawless Dao foundation, in a small courtyard. With a face still somewhat pale and lacking blood color, Ling Zixiao looked towards the distant spiritual energy vortex and spoke softly. She was somewhat curious as to what cultivation technique Lu Changxing had taught Lu Miaoga to practice. She also harbored some anticipation for Lu Miaoga's breakthrough in foundation establishment. After all, Lu Changxing once said that once Lu Miaoga broke through to foundation establishment, her dragon roar physique could likely be resolved. Chapter 588, Yu Family Attacks, Talisman Formation Suppresses Foundation Establishment. _1 in the Cave Dwelling. It seems that a perfect Dao foundation is within reach. Lu Changxing watched as Lu Miaoga, who was beside him, made her breakthrough in foundation establishment and nodded silently. Through the Tai Dao seed, he could approximately sense the current situation of Lu Miaoga. He knew that Lu Miaoga was currently condensing her Dao foundation. This Dao foundation should be a perfect foundation base. However, through his own Yin Yang 5 Elements foundation base and Xiao Xi's Lunar Primordial Spirit foundation, Lu Changxing knew that perfect Dao foundations also had their hierarchy. Miaoga's Dao foundation at most may be similar to his own 7 Luminaries foundation. It couldn't compare with his Yin Yang 5 Elements foundation or Xiao Xi's Lunar Primordial Spirit foundation. Being able to condense a perfect Dao foundation already puts her ahead of 99% of foundation establishment cultivators. Speaking of which, with the Tai Dao seed, Sister Miaoga's Dao foundation will share some commonalities with mine. Afterward, if I use the Yin Yang energies to baptize her Dao foundation, can it advance further like Shi Yus, making Sister Miaoga's foundation also take one more step? Lu Changxing pondered in his heart. Thinking of how Xiao Xia's perfect Tao foundation had transformed under his yin-yang energies, could Lu Maiage's water of virtue technique foundation possibly undergo transformation as well? Under normal circumstances, for the Tai Xing Ju, water of virtue technique, a perfect Tao foundation was already the limit. But his yin-yang energies seemed to be truly defying the heavens. That can be tried later on, not sure if anyone will come to disrupt this time. Lu Changxing knew that at this stage, a vortex of spiritual energy was already gathering over Jianghu Valley. This activity would surely be noticed by others. He couldn't help thinking about when Lu Miaofeng was breaking through her foundation establishment, and 3 foundation establishment great cultivators came to interfere. Now that Lu Miaoge was undergoing foundation establishment, he wondered if those 3 would continue to harass them. If they come, then let them come, just 3 minor foundation establishment cultivators. If they dare to come, I can just suppress and kill them with a talisman formation. Lu Changxing smiled lightly. If they dared to come and disrupt Lu Maiage's foundation establishment, he would naturally not be polite. Although he didn't want to expose his strength, as a second-grade talisman master, killing enemies with a talisman formation is reasonable, right? Lu Changxing didn't think too much, quietly observing the situation of Lu Miaoge before him. To avoid any mishaps during her foundation establishment process. Meanwhile, a tall figure dressed in a black brocade robe and wearing a hood arrived at Jianghu Mountain. Seeing this figure, Lu Yuanzhong immediately stepped forward to welcome him. He said with a joyful expression, "Yun Yang, my nephew, you've taken the trouble to come here this time." When Lu Yuanzhong learned that Lu Miaoge had started her breakthrough in foundation establishment, considering what had happened with Lu Miaofeng, he not only sealed off Jianghu Mountain and operated the Great Formation, but also sent a message to the Bai family. He hoped that the Bai family ancestor would assist them by coming to Jianghu Mountain to oversee the situation. Now that he saw Bai Yunyang, the Bai family ancestor coming, his heart was filled with joy. There's no need for formalities, Uncle Lu. Our 2 families have had good relations for generations. Such matters as these, where I can lend some help, I naturally should. Bai Yunyang, taking off his hood, revealing his heroic face, said in a deep voice. Upon receiving Lu Yuanzhong's message, he learned about Lu Maiage's breakthrough in foundation establishment. Although their Bai family did not wish for the Lu family to become too strong, they also understood the current situation. If the Lu family did not have a new foundation establishment birth after Lu Yuanzhong's death, and only Lu Changxing remained as an external foundation establishment cultivator, chaos would surely ensue. Moreover, the Yu family had always been eyeing their several great families with covetous intentions. Having one more foundation establishment in the Lu family would also benefit the Bai family. Furthermore, the Lu family and the Bai family had enjoyed good relations for generations. This time it was also Lu Changsheng's wife, Lu Maiage's foundation establishment. His aid was mainly to act as a deterrent. No matter the outcome, Jianghu Mountain and Lu Changxing would owe him a favor afterward. Rest assured, my nephew, such kindness will certainly be remembered by the Lu family of Jianghu Mountain, Lu Yuanzhong said in a grave voice. At Bai Lake Mountain, the Yu family. What, someone from the Lu family is undertaking foundation establishment? The patriarch of the Yu family, Yu Jinyang, frowned upon hearing the news, his face showing surprise. He was well aware that the Lu family had nearly drained their resources just for one person's foundation establishment breakthrough previously. Now only a year and a bit had passed since the last breakthrough. Where could the Lu family have obtained the resources for another foundation establishment breakthrough? Yes, Ancestor, this news was personally verified by Ancestor Yuanshan. Currently, a vortex of spiritual energy is spiraling over Jianghu Valley, clearly at a critical moment of foundation establishment, the patriarch of the Yu family replied respectfully. Where did the Lu family get the resources for foundation establishment? Could they be relying on 1 or 2 foundation establishment spirit objects to directly attempt foundation establishment? Yu Ningjuan voiced his suspicion. According to my investigation, only Lu Miaoge from the Lu family meets the conditions for a breakthrough in foundation establishment. As a talisman master, she is just one step away from becoming a second-ranked talisman master. Without foundation establishment elixirs, under no circumstances would the Lu family risk her undertaking foundation establishment. I suspect that Lu Changxing has foundation establishment elixirs in his possession, hence providing for Lu Maiage's breakthrough. Yuninghu, standing beside him, spoke up, his eyes slightly focused and a serious tone in his voice. Lu Changxing, foundation establishment elixirs. Hearing this, both Yuningjuan and the Patriarch of the Yu family had solemn expressions on their faces. After Lu Changxing returned from his foundation establishment, their Yu family had analyzed the information about him, but the more they analyzed, the more they felt that Lu Changxing was no ordinary individual. A so-called 9th-grade spiritual root son-in-law of the Lu family had managed to reach this level in just over 20 years. This definitely involved fortune, a great fortune. No matter what, we absolutely cannot allow the Lu family to produce another foundation establishment. If the Lu family has one more foundation establishment cultivator, our Yu family's 100-year plan would be completely ruined. Chapter 589, Yu family attacks, talisman formation suppresses foundation establishment. Moreover, if Lu Changxing really can produce a foundation establishment elixir, there might even be elixirs that could extend Lu Yuanzhong's life. Even if it extends his life by just 20 or 30 more years, with Lu Changxing, a second-grade talisman master, and Lu Miaoge, another second-grade talisman master, holding the fort, the Lu family can prosper for 100 years and cultivate several foundation establishment great cultivators. Patriarch of the Yu family, Yu Jinyang, spoke, his voice deep and resonant. Previously, Lu Changsheng's success in foundation establishment was within their acceptable range. After all, Lu Changxing was an in-law foundation establishment cultivator. But they would never sit idly by and watch the Lu family produce another foundation establishment great cultivator. Especially since this foundation establishment great cultivator was Lu Changsheng's wife. The Patriarch is right. Previously when we went to Jianghu mountain to cause trouble, the Lu family must have guessed that our family was behind it, but they didn't dare to tear off the mask due to the situation. If Lu Miaoge breaks through to foundation establishment and Lu Yuanzhong's injuries are stabilized, they might just join forces with the Bai family and turn directly against our Yu family. And Jing family's old ghost, though he submits to our Yu family, is still wavering in his heart. In such a situation, he might pledge his allegiance to the Lu family. Yuninghu nodded and immediately said, "If that's the case, Ning Jun, accompany this old ancestor to Jianghu mountain once more. If we were able to make their first attempt at foundation establishment fail, we can make their second attempt fail as well." Yu Jinyang immediately decided, his voice carrying a cold authority. Having said this, he turned to Yu Ninghu and said, "Ninghu, you stay at home and hold the fort. If there is any news, relay it directly." "Yes, Patriarch." Yu Ninghu bowed and replied respectfully. Then he said to Yu Jinyang, "Patriarch, if it really is as we suspect and this Lu Changxing is not simple, you should be a bit more cautious when dealing with him. Moreover, having learned from the lesson of Lu Miaofeng, the fact that they dare to attempt foundation establishment at Jianghu mountain again surely means they are prepared." Yu Ninghu said. This old man is well aware, the Lu family dares to continue attempting foundation establishment at Jianghu mountain, so they must be prepared. But in my opinion, Lu Yuanzhong at most could have invited the Bai family's young lad. As for other foundation establishment cultivators, he can't move them, nor would he dare to. Yu Jinyang snorted, his voice filled with dominance. Had it not been for concern over family reputation, or worrying that the Lu family, Bai family, and Jing family and his own Yu family would suffer mutual destruction, he was confident he could alone overcome all three. Having said this, he left with Yu Ningjuan, departing by Lake Mountain. At the same time, he sent a message to Yu Yuanshan, who was stationed at the Red Leaf Valley Market, to prepare replicating the previous action and disrupt Lu Maiage's foundation establishment. One day later, a spirit boat appeared in the sky above Jianghu mountain. 3 figures in black brocades and wearing bamboo hats stood atop it. This spiritual energy vortex? It seems this Lu Miaoge is not simple. Yu Jinyang looked at the spiritual energy vortex above Jianghu mountain, his pupils fixing sharply upon detecting something amiss. This spiritual energy vortex, why does it seem much larger than when I first established my Dao foundation? Yu Ningjuan looked at it upon hearing this and uttered. Dao foundations are classified as fractured, flawed, and flawless. The larger the spiritual energy vortex, the better the Tao foundation. Could it be that Lu Miaoge is condensing a flawless Tao foundation? Yu Yuanshan said, his voice heavy. What does it matter if it's flawless? The better the Tao foundation, the more nature's spiritual energy it needs. Now she's at the critical moment of her foundation establishment. Once the spiritual energy becomes chaotic, the disturbance and impact on her will be even greater. Therefore, this time we need not hide our skills, but strike with all our might, definitely not allowing Lu Miaoge to succeed in foundation establishment. Yu Jinyang said with a serious tone. If Lu Miafeng's attempt at foundation establishment had made the Yu family cautious over their reputation, now, they no longer planned to care about their reputation. Because if they allowed Lu Miaoge to break through to foundation establishment, the Lu family would have 3 foundation establishment great cultivators and 2 second-grade talisman masters holding the fort. Then, the Yu family would not only see their plans shattered but also face retaliation from the Lu family. Yes, Patriarch. Yu Yuanshan and Yu Ningjuan, realizing the gravity of the situation, heeded the words. The trio flew out from the spirit boat as a beam of escape light and arrived at the area of the spiritual energy vortex. They immediately unleashed their magic artifacts and techniques, launching attacks at the great formation enveloped in heaven's blue glazed light. Boom! 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 In an instant, their attack struck the great formation, shielded in heaven's blue glazed light, causing a tremendous tumult and clamor. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! Damn it, it's those 3 again. They disrupted Uncle Miafeng's foundation establishment before, and now they're here to interfere with Aunt Miaoge's foundation establishment. Detestable, utterly detestable. The Lu family disciples on patrol and guard duty saw this and their expressions turned ugly as they shouted furiously. Who are you, and why do you attack Qingzhou Mountain? Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang exchanged glances and soared into the sky, confronting the 3 from the Yu family from across the formation and shouted loudly. I just don't like the look of your Qingzhou Mountain, what of it? The figure in the bamboo hat, Yu Ningjuan, held a patterned copper rod. Atop the rod, studded with starlight-like golden spiritual patterns, matched his onslaught as he continuously hammered away. Each blow burst forth with a dense golden light, colliding with the heaven's blue glazed light of the family's great formation, creating turmoil in the spiritual energy. My Qingzhou Mountain has no grudge with you. By attacking our family's great formation like this, could it be that you think Qingzhou Mountain is easy to bully? If you withdraw now, we can let bygones be bygones. If you continue this way, don't blame me for being rude. Lu Yuanzhong stepped forward, his foundation establishment power surging. When Lu Miaofeng was establishing his foundation, he had to endure, but now, facing those 3, with Bai Yunyang and Lu Changxing behind him, he certainly could not show weakness and sought to drive them away. Chapter 590, Yu Family Attacks, Talisman Formation Suppresses Foundation Establishment. No need to thank me, I'm curious to see exactly how you plan on not thanking me. Yu Jinyang faced Lu Yuanzhong's threat, completely unconcerned. If Qingzhou Mountain had no one attempting the foundation establishment at this time, he would indeed be wary of Lu Yuanzhong to some extent. After all, with the family great formation at his disposal, he dared not confront it head-on. But now, with Lu Miaoge in the midst of her foundation establishment, he figured Lu Yuanzhong wouldn't dare to activate the great formation against enemies. Once the great formation was used against enemies, the flow of nature's spiritual energy within Qingzhou Mountain would be sure to severely affect Lu Miaoge's foundation establishment. Meanwhile, inside the cave dwelling. They're still coming, huh? Lu Changxing lifted his head gently, looking through the cave to the outside. He turned to Lu Miaoge and said, Sister Miaoge, focus on your foundation establishment, I'll be right back. As his voice faded, he transformed into an escape light and appeared at the gates of the Lu family estate. Great Elder Changsheng. Family elders and Lu Yuanding, who were guarding the gate, immediately called out upon seeing Lu Changsheng. Uncle Yun, father-in-law. Dressed in a green robe and holding a fan made of black fine iron, Lu Changsheng greeted them both with a slight nod of his head. He then addressed the guarding elder, Uncle Yun, would you mind opening the formation for me? With the Jianghu Mountains Great Formation in full lockdown, he needed it open to leave. Open the formation? Changsheng, please, don't be rash. Uncle Yun and Lu Yuanding were taken aback when they heard this. They immediately understood what Lu Changsheng intended to do and shouted out. Father-in-law, I'm not being impulsive, trust me, Lu Changsheng said calmly. Lu Yuanzhong, hovering above, saw this unfold and immediately sent a telepathic message to Lu Changsheng. Changsheng, you mustn't act impulsively. Then, looking down at the three figures outside, he continued to speak with a cold voice. Do you really intend to push me too far? Looking for a fight to the death, are we? However, the three Yu family members ignored him and continued to launch their full force at the Lu family's great formation. This left everyone in the Lu family feeling angry and frustrated. Ancestor, let Uncle Yun open the great formation. Believe me, I'm confident, Lu Changsheng continued, clearly unwilling to waste time with too much talk. If it weren't for the presence of the Lu family's great formation, he would simply tear open a breach with a talisman formation, specifically a second-rank barrier-breaking talisman. Nephew Yunyang? Lu Yuanzhong also realized he wasn't going to easily force the three men to retreat, and turned to Bai Yunyang. Bai Yunyang's face showed a hint of struggle. His main purpose in coming was to be a deterrent, to plunder the formation. Naturally, he was unwilling to leave Jianghu Mountain and engage in combat. After all, as the Bai family ancestor, his severe injury would put the Bai family in jeopardy. Moreover, he had a guess about the identity of the three individuals outside. They were likely from the Yu family at the foundation establishment stage. Patriarch of the Yu family, Yu Jinyang, was a middle-stage foundation establishment great cultivator, and his strength was frightening. Both he and Lu Changsheng had only recently broken through to foundation establishment. With Lu Yuanzhong still in a severely wounded state, they were no match for Yu Jinyang's trio. If he were to go out now, his life could be in danger. Ancestor. Lu Changsheng continued to urge with an unquestionable attitude. Fine, Changsheng, they'll go out with you, Lu Yuanzhong finally said after a moment of hesitation. If anything seems off, you must immediately return to the Great Formation. Seeing Lu Changsheng's resolute demeanor, Lu Yuanzhong struggled for a moment but ultimately decided, planning to buy Lu Changsheng time if real danger presented itself. Since Lu Changsheng had been willing to give the foundation establishment elixir to Lu Miaoge, it showed his wholehearted commitment to the Lu family. Regardless of whether Lu Miaoge managed to establish her foundation successfully, as long as he and Lu Miaoge were there, the Lu family would have no worries. Rather than sitting and waiting for death, had rather drag someone down with him. Open the Great Formation. Lu Yuanzhong instructed the elder controlling the Great Formation telepathically. Instantly, the gates of the formation were opened. Shoo! Lu Changsheng transformed into an escape light, flying out and appearing above Jianghu Mountain. How audacious! Heaven offers you a path, yet you choose the one to hell. Lu Changsheng, you're truly courting death. The three Yu family members, attacking Jianghu Mountain, shouted when they saw him acting this way. They saw Lu Changsheng's behavior as arrogant, showing no regard for them. This, however, made the trio even more cautious. Changsheng, be careful. Great Elder. Changsheng. Husband. Back on Jianghu Mountain, Lu Yuanzhong, Lu Yuanding, and other Lu family disciples witnessed this scene. Seeing Lu Changsheng rush out to face three foundation establishment great cultivators without waiting for Lu Yuanzhong, their expressions changed dramatically as they shouted. Lu Yuanzhong immediately transformed into an escape light and followed. Bai Yunyang clenched his teeth and, in the end, also became an escape light and flew out. However, at this very moment, Lu Changsheng faced the three foundation establishment cultivators with an indifferent and calm demeanor. Swoosh, 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 hundreds of talismans streamed out from his sleeves, spreading to the four corners of heaven and earth, encircling the trio. At the same time, the fan of black fine iron flew from his hand. It transformed into 3,699 true signatures, positioning themselves according to the talisman locations, sealing this part of the world. Not good. So many talismans, be careful. No, it's a talisman formation, quick, break the formation. Seeing such an array of talismans, Yu Jianyang and his companions were shocked. Although they had never seen a talismanic formation technique. But this sudden deployment of hundreds of talismans arranged in the sky. Apart from the legendary talisman formation, what other technique could control so many talismans? The 99 Wind Fire Thunder Talisman Array. Lu Changsheng's expression remained calm and indifferent as his mental spirit moved. In an instant, 9 second-rank middle-grade talismans, 36 second-rank lower-grade talismans, and 256 first-grade talismans were all simultaneously activated. These talismans, connected with the 99 true signatures, and the rotation of the 5 elements within the wind-fire wheels, enveloped the area in darkness, seeming to turn this piece of the void into dust. Chapter 591, Coveting by Lake Mountain to Make It the Family Spirit Land. _1, Red Sun Golden Wheel. Break. Yu Jianyang, facing the encircling talisman formation enveloped by dark light and the 5-element wind-fire wheels in all directions, dared not hold back and immediately brought out his life-bound spiritual artifact. His life-bound golden wheel was a circle of reddish gold. The wheel burst forth with tens of thousands of golden rays, like the rising sun, and smashed heavily onto the talisman formation. Whiz whiz whiz, boom. The 3,600 profound truth tactic talismans diffused with dark light and shot out aggressively, accompanied by the spiritual light of the talismans, and forcefully countered the attack of the golden wheel, resulting in a heavy thud. The Red Sun Golden Wheel, it really is you, Yu Jianyang. The Supreme Sect has decreed that within 3 years of Great War, all families and powers must develop stably and must not invade or start conflicts and wars. Yet now, your Yu family has repeatedly offended my Jianghu mountain, showing contempt for the rules of the Supreme Sect. I will certainly report this matter to Qinyan Sect. Lu Yuanzhong arrived overhead and, seeing the Red Sun Golden Wheel, immediately shouted out loud at Yu Jianyang. Wishing to leverage the might of Qinyan Sect to deter the 3 from the Yu family. This technique, the Bai family ancestor, Bai Yunyang, upon seeing Lu Changsheng lay down the talisman formation and entrap the 3 from the Yu family by himself, was horrified and looked at Lu Changsheng with wary eyes. He hadn't expected that Lu Changsheng, who had just broken through to Foundation establishment not long ago, had such astonishing methods. With Lu Changsheng in Jianghu Mountain and once Lu Miaoga also has her breakthrough in Foundation establishment, the Lu family is likely to rise completely. However, looking at the several hundred talismans forming the talisman formation, Bai Yunyang couldn't help but click his tongue in sympathy for the financial pain. So many talismans must be worth tens of thousands of spirit stones. Such a method is powerful indeed, but it's simply burning money. The average person simply couldn't afford it. However, the current battle situation made him feel less intimidated. He immediately brought out his spiritual artifact, ready to intervene. Rise. Lu Changsheng, with a calm expression, looked at the 3 people in the formation, his hands forming seals, and spoke indifferently. In an instant. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Between heaven and earth, the talismans radiated light and kept rotating, shrinking the encircled area. Billowing fierce flames surged, and wind and thunder moved in unison, attacking the 3 from the Yu family with full force. Bang bang bang, facing such an onslaught, Yu Jianyang, Yu Yuanshan, and Yu Ningjuan did not dare to underestimate it. The 3 wildly channeled their mana, seeking to break the formation and escape with full power. However, in the face of such a torrential and overwhelming attack, they were simply unable to resist. Indeed, these 3 are all worthless at Foundation establishment. Even if I were to lower the level of the talismans used, it would still be overestimating them. Lu Changsheng watched the 3 people within the talisman formation and inwardly mused. Lu Daoist, we were wrong in our actions as the Yu family. We are willing to apologize and leave. Please stop. Yu Jianyang shouted out loud. Under the assault of the talisman formation, the 3 had no power to fight back at all and could only continuously fend off the attacks. Once their mana was exhausted, they would fall within the formation. Even if they managed to outlast the formation until it was spent, they would definitely be seriously injured and would be no match for Lu Yuanzhong, Bai Yunyang, and Lu Changsheng. What? What a terrifying talisman formation. Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang, who were ready to intervene but unable to get involved, were incredibly shocked when they saw this scene. They had thought that the talisman formation would only trap the three from the Yu family. They hadn't expected the formation's aggressive and terrifying nature. In just a moment, it made Yu Jinyang, the always domineering patriarch of the Yu family and a middle-stage great cultivator of Foundation establishment, lower his voice to apologize. SSS. This, the great elder is mighty. Uncle is mighty. The onlookers from Qingzhou Mountain first bulged their eyes in disbelief. But the next moment, they were all excited and shouted aloud. 1.5 years ago, the matter of Lu Miaofeng's Foundation establishment had left them stifling a breath of indignation. Today, with the Yu family attacking again, it truly brought their frustration and anger to a climax. Now seeing Lu Changxing suppressing the three from the Yu family by himself, making the patriarch of the Yu family bow his head, they felt thrilled and intensely excited. My husband is this powerful? My dad is this powerful? Father. The wives, concubines, and children of Lu Changxing, upon seeing this scene, were somewhat bemused. They had not expected their own husband and father to be so formidable. After all, for them, Foundation establishment was a lofty achievement, and they lacked an understanding of it. And Lu Changxing, usually mild-mannered, had never shown the authority of a Foundation establishment great cultivator. Lu Changxing, if you dare to kill us, my Bai Lake Mountain will surely be at endless war with your Qingzhou Mountain. Within the formation, Yuningjuan, wielding a copper rod, yelled out woefully and disheveled. However, Lu Changxing, faced with the roaring from within the formation, turned a deaf ear and continued to bombard them with his hands forming seals. If it weren't for the fear of making too much noise that could affect Lu Miaoga, who was in the process of Foundation establishment, he would have simply detonated the talisman formation and ended the fight. Husband, leave them an intact corpse. Just then, a gentle and crisp voice rang out. Ling Zixiao transformed into a streak of light, flying out from Qingzhou Mountain. Foundation establishment. How is there another Foundation establishment great cultivator in Qingzhou Mountain? Bai Yunyang was startled. He hadn't expected that there would be an unknown Foundation establishment great cultivator within Qingzhou Mountain. He looked at Lu Changxing, his heart stirring wildly and filled with utter shock. Isn't this Changsheng's partner? The great elder's partner is actually a Foundation establishment great cultivator. The onlookers from the Lu family were surprised to see Ling Zixiao flying with the power to control the sky. They hadn't expected Ling Zixiao to be a Foundation establishment great cultivator. Ling Zixiao usually kept to herself, and most of them had only seen her once at a family banquet. Lu Changxing, hearing Ling Zixiao's words, was somewhat surprised. But the next moment, he nodded and altered the talisman formation's attack with his hands forming seals. The remaining 7,200 profound truth tactic talismans shot out. Whiz whiz whiz. Chapter 592, Coveting by Lake Mountain to Make It the Family Spirit Land. These Xuanzhen talismans connected with the energy of the talisman, like arrows of spell shooting out, erupted with impressive might. Pft pft pft, clang clang clang, the might spread throughout, and within the talisman formation, the sound of blades piercing flesh and metal clashing rang out. Ah! Ancestor! Inside the talisman formation, Yuningjuan, the newly advanced Foundation establishment cultivator, was now covered in blood, with charred flesh, wailing miserably as he was about to fall from the sky. Lu Daoist, as long as you're willing to stop, let us go, and we from Blue Lake Mountain are willing to offer compensation. Yu Jinyang cried out loud. His voice was already somewhat lacking in strength. This statement left Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang exchanging looks, speechless. Not long ago, facing the three from the Yu family, they felt utterly powerless and apprehensive. But now, Lu Changxing alone was overpowering the three. Forcing Yu Jinyang, the patriarch of the Yu family, to plead for mercy. Such combat power, such strength, even with the aid of talismans, was incredibly astounding. However, seeing Yu Jinyang in such a state, both of them couldn't help but feel a surge of satisfaction. After all, the Yu family had never been anything but overbearing towards them on normal days. Boom boom boom, Lu Changxing remained silent, his expression indifferent, his hands forming seals, commanding the talisman formation to continue its assault, intent on slaying them both. Lu Changxing, do you truly intend to commit such extermination and be irreconcilable with Blue Lake Mountain? Seeing that Yu Ningjuan and Yu Yuanshan were already done for, Yu Jinyang, holding a golden wheel, with bloodshot eyes, roared furiously. Xuanzhen 99, Decree. Lu Changxing said coldly, his hands forming seals. Had it not been for his concern about causing too much commotion and his intention to leave the three with whole corpses, Yu Jinyang wouldn't still be able to be defiant. Shoo shoo shoo, pft pft pft, 99 Xuanzhen talismans, connecting with the talisman, shot out, piercing through the body of Yu Jinyang within the talisman formation, until his last spark of life vanished. I am not willing to accept this. Yu Jinyang's eyes widened, his face unwilling to accept the outcome. He never imagined that his own decision would lead to his own demise, as well as that of his nephew and great-grandson, all buried within Qingzhou Mountain. Everyone present, witnessing the talisman formation dissipate and the bodies of Yu Jinyang, Yu Yuanshan, and Yu Ningjuan, were too shocked to speak. Foundation building great cultivators. 3 foundation building great cultivators, usually so above others, were now slain by Lu Changxing alone. Even though they had seen the talisman formation suppress the 3 and bombard them ferociously. Yet, seeing their bodies now, they still found it hard to believe. After all, these were the elders of a family, the highly esteemed foundation building great cultivators. My lord, weren't you preparing to establish a family power? Now that Miaoga has broken through to foundation establishment, and Qingzhou Mountain has someone in charge. Since the Yu family from Blue Lake Mountain have provoked us today, we may as well take down Blue Lake Mountain and use it as our family spirit land. At that moment, Ling Zixiao stepped forward slightly, a faint smile on her face, and spoke in a crisp voice. The others on the scene were extremely shocked. But she showed no reaction to the death of the 3 foundation building great cultivators, her demeanor calm. Establish a family power? Take down Blue Lake Mountain as the family spirit land? Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang heard this and were startled, looking towards Lu Changxing. They had not expected Lu Changxing to be preparing to stand on his own and establish a family power. The two of them had mixed emotions upon hearing this. Ancestor, now that the crisis of the Yu family has been resolved, I wish to take down Blue Lake Mountain to serve as our family spirit land and establish Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Lu Changxing looked toward Lu Yuanzhong and spoke calmly. Ling Zixiao had already communicated this to him through a whisper. They could take the opportunity of the Yu family's provocation to justifiably seize Blue Lake Mountain to serve as their family spirit land. Blue Lake Mountain had both mountains and waters, an elegant environment, favorable conditions, and a larger area than Qingzhou Mountain, making it an excellent location for a family spirit land. Moreover, seizing Blue Lake Mountain would naturally incorporate all of its resources into their coffers. This was far better than purchasing a new family spirit land or acquiring a spiritual vein blessed land from Qinyan sect. He also found the suggestion appealing and was prepared to do so. Good, the Yu family has been excessively oppressive, repeatedly offending our Qingzhou Mountain. We shall march on Blue Lake Mountain and seize it. Once it's done, Blue Lake Mountain will then be your family's spirit land, Changxing. Lu Yuanzhong, after pondering for a moment, responded directly. Seeing Lu Changxing's methods and knowing that he was planning to establish his own family, he realized that Qingzhou Mountain, this small pond, could not retain Lu Changxing, the flood dragon. As such, it was better to do Lu Changxing a favor. In the future, if the two families maintained a good relationship, it would be beneficial to both. If Lu Daoist wishes to seize Blue Lake Mountain and needs any help, feel free to speak up. My Bai family is also willing to contribute. Bai Yunyang immediately spoke up at this moment. He knew that Lu Changxing seizing Blue Lake Mountain was already a settled matter. In such a situation, stepping forward to offer help was also a way to build a good rapport with Lu Changxing. And he was pleased to see Lu Changxing establishing his own sect. In the future, an alliance between the three families could be mutually beneficial. In that case, I will trouble by Daoist. Lu Changxing nodded, not declining the offer. Since he intended to seize Blue Lake Mountain and establish a family, he naturally wished to maintain relationships with the neighboring families. Time is of the essence, Lu Daoist. By Daoist, please make some quick preparations, and well head straight to Blue Lake Mountain. Ling Zixiao, her hair piled up high and dressed in a blue dress, dignified in bearing, turned to Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang and said with an elegant smile. Hearing this, both could not help but take a closer look at the woman before them. Her exquisite features were pale, lacking in color, her aura weak and chaotic, making her seem incredibly fragile. Chapter 593, Coveting by Lake Mountain to make it the family spirit land. But the elegance and composure in her demeanor, and the gracefulness of her every movement, made them feel in an instant that this woman was no ordinary person. Especially since Ling Zixiao was too confident. As if taking down by Lake Mountain was within easy reach. Good. Upon hearing this, Lu Yuanzhong didn't hesitate. He immediately turned into a streak of light, returning to Jianghu Mountain to relay the message. Stating that the Yu family had gone too far in bullying them, repeatedly offending Jianghu Mountain. Today, he would join the Great Elder, Ling Daoist friend, and the Bai family in attacking Bai Lake Mountain. I'll go inform Sister Miaoga. Lu Changxing said to Ling Zixiao. Lu Miaoga was still in the midst of her foundation establishment breakthrough and could not afford to be distracted. Now that he himself was about to set off to take Bai Lake Mountain, he still needed to inform Lu Miaoga, so she wouldn't worry. After speaking, he turned into a streak of light and returned to his cave dwelling in Jianghu Valley. Sister Miaoga, the Yu family's people have already been dealt with by me. I wish to join the elder ancestor in taking Bai Lake Mountain for our family spirit land. You should focus on your foundation establishment at home without concern. Lu Changxing saw Lu Miaoga inside the cave dwelling, still with closed eyes seated in meditation, concentrating on her Dao foundation, and spoke out. For Lu Miaoga to concentrate her Dao foundation and complete her breakthrough, it would still take several days. Moreover, stabilizing one's realm was also necessary after a foundation establishment breakthrough. He didn't have the time to stay by her side at the moment. However, he could tell that as long as she wasn't disturbed or faced any accidents, Lu Miaoga's breakthrough to foundation establishment was simply a matter of course. Alright, Changxing, you go with peace of mind, don't worry about me. Although Lu Miaoga was surprised by what had just happened outside, she couldn't afford to be distracted and was fully concentrating her Dao foundation, transmitting to Lu Changxing her thoughts through divine sense. Emichim. Lu Changxing nodded and turned into a streak of light to leave, arriving at his home. He announced that he was ready to head for Bai Lake Mountain to take it down. And summoned a few of the children from the family who were at the third level of Qi refinement to accompany him. It wasn't to have these children participate in the battle, but simply to let them witness the ruthlessness of the cultivation world. Husband, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, Chu Zhenjin, and others, upon hearing this, were somewhat worried about their children. They felt that the children were too young to join the trip. Yuner, Huan, no need to worry. You will come with me, and just keeping an eye on the children will suffice. Zhenjin, Pingan, you two stay at home and take care of the other children. Lu Changxing spoke directly. He immediately took out a spirit boat from his storage bag for Lu Miaoyun. At the same time, he passed the second-rank puppet he had made to Lu Miaohuan, so she could control the puppet in case of danger. Brother, I want to go too. At this moment, Bai Ling, hearing Lu Changxing's words, gathered her courage and spoke up. Little Linger, aren't you afraid? Lu Changxing smiled genially upon hearing this. Even though Bai Ling had reached the 6th level of Qi refinement, in his view, her nature was not suited to battling or experiencing such events. I want to help brother. Bai Ling mustered her courage, but her voice was still somewhat timid. Okay, if that's the case, then let's go together. You'll be with Sister Yuner. Lu Changxing, upon hearing this, smiled and nodded, then spoke out. Meanwhile, on Bai Lake Mountain of the Yu family, outside the Yu family ancestral hall, an elderly man with gray hair, dressed in a lake blue robe, was lounging on a recliner, indolently yawning out of boredom. Suddenly, an extremely crisp sound emanated continuously from within the ancestral hall. What's going on? The old man jolted awake at the sound, leapt to his feet, and hurried into the ancestral hall. As a Foundation establishment family, the Yu family could not provide a life-incorporated jade token or soul lamp for every member. But for a few key core individuals of the family, they would certainly be equipped with a life-incorporated jade token. The continuous shattering of jade tokens at this moment sent him into an utter panic. What? As soon as he entered the ancestral hall, he saw, to his dismay, shards of jade strewn all over the ground around the table. Of the original 6 life-incorporated jade tokens, only 3 remained intact. How is this possible? The elder was thunderstruck at the sight of the broken tokens, trembling all over, his steps faltering until he fell to the ground, his face etched with disbelief. Disaster. Disaster has struck. The next moment, he scrambled out of the ancestral hall to convey the news. Jianghu Mountain. About half an hour later. The Lu family completed their assembly. The number of people was not large. Aside from Lu Changxing, Lu Yuanzhong, Bai Yunyang, and Ling Zixiao, the 4 who were at the Foundation establishment level, there were only 2 at the energy refinement late stage, 29 at the energy refinement middle stage, and Lu Changsheng's 4 children at the 3rd level of qi refinement. But in Lu Changsheng's view, this was sufficient. These individuals were heading there to resolve some matters and to bolster their presence, merely making an appearance. Let's go. Lu Changxing, Ling Zixiao, and Lu Yuanzhong exchanged glances and then shouted in unison, to battle. Immediately, the spirit boats of the 4 at Foundation establishment led the way, while the other 35 rode in 3 spiritual vessels, turning into a streak of light flying towards Bai Lake Mountain. Chapter 594, Use your Bai Lake Mountain spiritual land as compensation. _1 Yu Family Ancestral Hall, lights flickering on and off. How is this possible? How could it be? Jianghu, who was usually stable and composed, knelt on the ground, his eyes bloodshot as he stared at the 3 shattered jade tokens in front of him. Next to him, Yuan also wore a grave expression, eyes circling the broken jade tokens, his face filled with sorrow and grief. Now that Yu Jinyang and the other 2 had perished, the Yu family was left with only 1 Foundation establishment cultivator, Jianghu. It was said that if a family had a Foundation establishment great cultivator seated in authority, it was enough to stabilize the situation. But now, with the simultaneous death of Yu Jinyang and the other 2, they were filled with unspeakable panic. They couldn't comprehend how their ancestor and the other 2 suddenly perished. Our ancestor and Ning Jun went to Jianghu Mountain, how did they all die together? Even if Lu Changxing possesses a heaven-defying opportunity, he is nothing more than a cultivator who has just made a breakthrough in Foundation establishment. How could he have killed our 3 ancestors? Even if Lu Yuanzhong fought to the death and fully activated the Jianghu Mountain family's great formation, it would still be impossible. Besides, given Lu Yuanzhong's current state, fully activating the great formation to fend off enemies would mean certain death, and it would severely impact Lu Miaoga, who is undergoing Foundation establishment, leading to her failure. Therefore, the Lu family definitely wouldn't do such a thing, nor do they have the ability to kill our ancestors. Yuninga's mind raced as he analyzed the situation. In his mind, there was no way his own ancestors could have died at the hands of the Lu family. Their ancestor Yu Jinyang was a Foundation establishment middle-stage great cultivator with staggering strength. The second ancestor Yu Yuanshan was an old Foundation establishment cultivator at the 3rd level. And on the Lu family's side, Lu Changxing, Lu Yuanzhong, even if we count Bai Yunyang, the Bai family ancestor, there were only 3 Foundation establishment cultivators. Among them, 2 had just recently broken through Foundation establishment. Although Lu Yuanzhong was a Foundation establishment great cultivator for many years, he was on brink of death with poison in his viscera, and not even equivalent to an ordinary Foundation establishment cultivator. Under such circumstances, how could they have possibly killed his own ancestors? Could it be that our ancestors encountered demon cultivators on their way? Yuninhu mulled over this possibility for a long time. If it was a demon cultivator, his expression grew solemn as he thought more, increasingly feeling that it was a possibility. Although Xiahou Money's movements were mysterious and unpredictable, their strength was undeniable. And his Yu family had participated in the battle at Blackwater Pool. If his ancestors really encountered Xiahou Money on their way to Qingzhou Mountain and fell to his treachery, it would explain everything. If it's really Xiahou Money's doing, they might very well make a move on by Lake Mountain, Yuninghu murmured to himself, his expression grave. Xiahou Money was domineering in his actions, acting only to loot and destroy. If they had really killed his ancestors, using their identity jade, they might sneak into by Lake Mountain. The news that Feng family fortress was annihilated overnight by a demon cultivator was still fresh in his mind. Ning Yuan, quickly send the order, activate the Great Formation, impose a full lockdown on by Lake Mountain, and allow no one to leave or enter. At the same time, send someone to the Qingyun sect, claiming there is evidence of Xiahou Money's presence. Xiahou Money might possibly attack our by Lake Mountain. Yuninghu immediately stood up and said to the Patriarch of the Yu family, Yuning Yuan. Yes, big brother. Yuning Yuan replied through clenched teeth, his eyes still bloodshot, then walked out of the ancestral hall to make arrangements. Oh heavens, why have you forsaken our Yu family? Yuninghu looked at the shattered jade tokens, clenched his fists, and expressed his discontent. His Yu family had struggled for generations, and now they had 4 foundation establishment great cultivators, 2 in the prime of life, with promising futures. The Wugong Ridge Zheng family, Qingzhou Mountain Lu family, 100 Birds Lake Bai family, were all in decline. Within at most 10 years, his Yu family might annex the 3 families and stride towards further advancement. But today, their efforts had turned to ash. Ancestor, rest assured, I will support the family. Yuninghu looked at the jade tokens in front of him, took a deep breath, determined look in his eyes, took a step back, bowed deeply and solemnly pledged. Then he turned around and walked out of the ancestral hall. Earlier, he and Yu Jinyang had gone to Zhouxiao Immortal City to secretly cultivate to foundation establishment. To avoid arousing the envy of other families by having too many foundation establishment members in the household. Thus, he focused on serene cultivation at home. Apart from the core members of the family, he had never revealed his breakthrough in foundation establishment to the outside world. But from this moment on, he needed to stand out and take on the heavy responsibility of the family. 5 spirit boats were shuttling through the clouds. Changsheng, how do you plan to deal with the Yu family? Although we hold the moral high ground, if we were to obliterate by Lake Mountain at this time, it might provoke the Qingyun sect to send someone. Moreover, if you want to establish a family, you must consider the reputation of the family. Taking over by Lake Mountain, if we do it too ruthlessly, it's likely to attract some criticism, making the surrounding families unhappy, which is not conducive to the future development of the family. Also, there are many members of the Yu family out there. If we can't eradicate them completely, we'll also have to face the Yu family's frenzied retaliation. From the spirit boat, Lu Yuanzhong spoke to Lu Changsheng. Now that Yu Jinyang, Yu Yuanshan, and Yu Ningjuan of the Yu family had died, taking down by Lake Mountain seemed to him to be just a matter of time. But given that these were extraordinary times, making a scene too loudly, and if the Yu family's people or other family powers were to report it to the Qingyun sect. When the Qingyun sect stepped in, the matter would not be about justice or who's right and who's wrong. It would be about the dignity of the supreme sect. Furthermore, there were still many Yu family cultivators handling business outside. Once by Lake Mountain was captured, an unending feud with the Yu family would ensue, resulting in their frenzied retaliation. Zi Xiao, what's your take? Lu Changsheng pondered for a moment, then inquired of Ling Zixiao. He had naturally considered these issues. Chapter 595, Use your by Lake Mountain spiritual land as compensation. Seizing and dominating another family's spirit land is naturally straightforward, convenient, accomplished in one step, and can avoid countless troubles. But likewise, it also comes with many problems and troubles. First and foremost, there is the issue of righteousness, family reputation, and public opinion. After all, loners and solitary wanderers can afford to ignore the rules. But when one chooses to establish a family, bringing along relatives, one must consider one's own reputation and the family's public opinion. Otherwise, if actions are erratically domineering and reputation suffers, it not only invites trouble but also hinders family development. Now, in terms of morality, I am justified. However, if I were to kill off the entire Yu family, I fear the reputation might be somewhat tarnished, seeming too ruthless. After all, except for cases of irreconcilable differences, most value leaving some leeway for future dealings. Moreover, most of the Yu family's cultivators are currently away. If I take by Lake Mountain and kill the Yu family cultivators there, they'll be completely at odds with the remaining members. By myself, of course, I wouldn't worry about such minor characters. But I have 157 soft spots to consider. So I must give thought to this aspect. After all, my purpose in establishing a family power is to provide a better environment for my children to grow up in. Not to create future troubles for them. When did we ever say we wanted to forcibly occupy by Lake Mountain? Upon hearing this, Ling Zixiao let out a light chuckle. She elegantly smiled at Lu Changsheng and the two others, her voice gentle as she said, "The Yu family has repeatedly violated Qingzhou Mountain, previously causing the Lu family to fail in foundation establishment, and now they have come to disturb my Ayaja's foundation establishment. For such actions, the Yu family naturally can only make reparations by offering by Lake Mountain as compensation." As for how to deal with the people of the Yu family, Ling Zixiao said, pausing slightly. Her bright and expressive Chushui eyes turned to Lu Yuanzhong as she spoke. "Lu Daoist, if I remember correctly, 100 miles from by Lake Mountain, there is a spirit land called Little Jing Mountain. This Little Jing Mountain, belonging to the Ji family, is an energy refining family affiliated with the Yu family. We could buy Little Jing Mountain and give this spirit land to the Yu family, allowing them to settle there. Under such circumstances, I think Qingyun sect, the surrounding families, or even the Yu family members outside would have nothing to complain about." Ling Zixiao spoke with a calm tone, her elegance undisturbed. Little Jing Mountain. Let the Yu family settle at Little Jing Mountain. Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang immediately understood the meaning behind Ling Zixiao's words upon hearing them. This was to confine the Yu family within Little Jing Mountain, locking them in place. That's right, 100 miles from Bai Lake Mountain, there indeed is a small energy refining family. Giving Little Jing Mountain to the Yu family as their family territory is indeed a good idea. Lu Yuanzhong said with a smile, nodding his head. Truthfully, he wasn't very willing to see the Yu family destroyed. After all, once that happened, his Qingzhou Mountain would not be able to escape involvement, facing accountability from Qingyun sect and retaliation from the Yu family. Even without Yu Jinyang, Yu Yuanshan, and Yu Ningjuan, the three foundation-building great cultivators, the overall strength of the Yu family was still superior to Qingzhou Mountain. If these cultivators of the Yu family targeted them, it would worsen the already challenging situation of the Lu family. But, when the time comes, we will proceed as Zi Shao has suggested. Hearing this, Lu Changxing spoke up, agreeing. He found Ling Zixiao's proposal to be quite excellent. Using the spirit land of Little Jing Mountain to trap these people from the Yu family. In this way, the Yu family cultivators outside would also exercise restraint, wary of causing harm. As for the hatred and retaliation between the two families? Honestly, when the time comes, the ones who should worry about these issues won't be him but the Yu family. Half a day later. Changsheng, up ahead is by Lake Mountain, Lu Yuanzhong pointed towards the front, informing Lu Changsheng from the spirit boat. By Lake Mountain. Upon hearing this, Lu Changsheng infused mana into his eyes and looked towards the sea of clouds below. He had always known of the Yu family of Bai Lake Mountain. But he had never been to Bai Lake Mountain before. As the spirit boat approached and he looked down from above, he finally saw the rough outline of Bai Lake Mountain. It was considerably larger than Qingzhou Mountain, covering an area of tens of thousands of acres. Mountains surrounded it on all sides, and at the center was a vast, turquoise lake like jade. Shrouded in a hazy formation, a towering peak could be seen reaching straight into the clouds. Bai Lake Mountain possessed both a lake and a mountain, with the lake abundant in spiritual fish. Lu Changxing remembered that when he first went to Nine Dragons Market, he and Lu Miaoge went to their friend Yu Meicheng's Jade Meal Hall. The shop's signature dish, red blood carp, came from by Lake Mountain. Not bad, Lu Changxing nodded in satisfaction. This by Lake Mountain was about to become his family's spirit land. In the future, he could live here raising children, planting trees, farming, breeding fish, and raising a family. Meanwhile, at the same time. Not good, everyone be on alert. Operate the Great Formation at full power. Inside by Lake Mountain, the Yu family members had already received orders and were waiting in full readiness, patrolling and on guard. Seeing 5 spirit boats descending towards their home, their faces changed immediately, sending signals to operate the by Lake Mountain Great Formation at full force. Huff huff huff, the originally thin mist surrounding by Lake Mountain quickly thickened to the naked eye, turning turquoise, with symbols flowing like fish, emitting a strong mana and spiritual pressure. This great formation seems to be second-rank high-grade. Ling Zixiao discerned the grade of the Yu family's great formation and spoke aloud. Second-rank high-grade. Lu Changxing looked at the formation in front of him. He knew that the most troublesome part of seizing a family's power was the family's great formation. I found some formation tokens in the storage bags of those 3 from the Yu family, which must be the tokens for this by Lake Mountain Great Formation. Later, we can use the formation tokens to influence the operation of the Great Formation. Chapter 596, Use your by Lake Mountain spiritual land as compensation. If the Yu family is without an array master or a foundation establishment cultivator to preside over the Great Formation, when the time comes, my lord using several banishing talismans to assist me in breaking through the formation's weak points should not be difficult. Ling Zixiao spoke out, saying this. Good. Upon hearing Ling Zixiao say this, Lu Changxing immediately felt relieved. Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang, who were nearby, heard this and looked at Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao with some surprise. They hadn't expected the Yu family's family great formation to seem so simple in the mouths of the two. Zixiao is an array master. Lu Changxing gave a brief introduction. Since Ling Zixiao was currently weak, he hadn't revealed too much information before. So that's how it is. Upon hearing this, the 2 men slightly bowed and their looks towards Ling Zixiao became much more polite immediately. In the myriad of arts in cultivation, formations ranked among the top 3. This skill belonged to the category of difficult to learn and master. Non-gifted individuals, or members of powerful families, found it very hard to get started and achieve something. Therefore, hearing that Ling Zixiao was an array master naturally added a few more degrees of respect. It's just a slight understanding. Ling Zixiao showed a faint smile and said lightly. In the midst of their conversation, the 5 spirit boats landed in front of Bai Lake Mountain. Where is the Patriarch of the Yu family? Lu Changxing and Lu Yuanzhong exchanged glances, stepped forward, and shouted out loud. In an instant, all 4 exuded their foundation establishment might. What? So many foundation establishment great cultivators. It's the Lu ancestor, by family ancestor. What are they doing at our by Lake Mountain? The Yu family members, seeing the 4 foundation establishment great cultivators arriving with ill intentions, were immediately struck with shock and panic in their hearts. The next moment, a streak of escape light flew out from by Lake Mountain. He looked at the situation outside, his eyes also widening in disbelief. How is this possible? Yuninghu, seeing the forces outside, was greatly shocked. He immediately understood that his family's ancestors weren't killed by Xiahou money, as he had guessed, but by Lu Changxing and others from Qingzhou Mountain. I am Yuninghu. May I know why the 4 of you have come to our by Lake Mountain? Yuninghu took a deep breath, looked at the 4 people in front of him, and spoke as he performed a polite greeting. No matter if his family's ancestors really died at the hands of the 4 in front of him, given the current situation where the other party was more powerful, he had no choice but to bow his head. There's still a foundation establishment great cultivator in the Yu family? Lu Changxing was somewhat surprised to see Yuninghu. According to their information, there were only 3 foundation establishment great cultivators in the Yu family at present. Yet now, with the 3 foundation establishment cultivators killed, there was still one more. Yuninghu, we had heard that you'd perished outside. Little did we expect you had secretly broken through to Foundation establishment and had been hiding at home all this while. The Yu family has kept it quite hidden. Lu Yuanzhong immediately recognized Yuninghu and relayed the information to Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao via transmission. He, too, hadn't thought that there would still be a Foundation establishment great cultivator guarding the Yu family. This made Lu Yuanzhong feel that it would be somewhat difficult to carry out their previous plan of forcing the Yu family to surrender by Lake Mountain and confine themselves to Shaojing Mountain as per their original plan. He exchanged glances with Lu Changsheng and stepped forward, saying, "You of the Bai Lake Mountain Yu family have repeatedly violated our Qingzhou Mountain. A year and a half ago, your families Yu Jinyang, Yu Yuanshan, and Yu Ningjuan took advantage of our Lu Miaofeng's breakthrough to Foundation establishment, came to harass us and attacked Qingzhou Mountain, causing our Lu Miaofeng's Foundation establishment to fail. Now, as our Lu Miaoga is making a Foundation establishment attempt, your Yu family has come again to cause trouble, disturbing the breakthrough. Thus we have come here today, to seek an explanation from your Yu family." Even though Lu Yuanzhong was poisoned and the toxin had entered his organs, his voice was still full of vigor and resonance under the enhancement of mana. "Where do these words of the Lu ancestor come from? When has my Yu family ever done such a thing? Is there any misunderstanding in this matter?" Yuninghu contained his emotions, moderated his voice, and spoke out. Even up to this moment, he was reluctant to believe that his family's ancestors had fallen to Lu Yuanzhong and the others. He thought that Lu Yuanzhong and the others, upon learning of his family ancestors' demise, aimed to take advantage and falsely accuse them. But in the next instant, swoosh, 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 3 corpses flew out from Lu Changsheng's storage bag. They were indeed the corpses of Yu Jinyang, Yu Yuanshan, and Yu Ningjuan. All 3 corpses were blood-soaked and bore gruesome expressions. Some even showed areas of charring, clearly indicating they suffered a tragic and woeful death. Ancestor! 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 In that moment, everyone in Bai Lake Mountain, upon seeing these 3 corpses, had their eyes nearly bursting with rage, their expressions horror-struck, shouting out loud and wailing in grief. Among them, only a few were aware of the demise of Yu Jinyang and the others. Many of the Yu family disciples were unaware of their fate. Seeing the corpses of the 3, and the forces outside, they were consumed with both anger and sorrow, while a wave of panic arose within. Ancestors, Yuninghu, looking at the 3 corpses, had his eyes turn blood-red, his fists clenched, trembling all over. The corpses still retained a faint trace of their magic aura. Moreover, he saw his family ancestors' red sun golden wheel, the second ancestor Yu Yuanshan's sun and moon wheels, and Yu Ningjun's 1000 June stick appearing from Lu Changsheng's storage bag. These items were undeniably genuine, telling him that his family's ancestors indeed perished at the hands of Lu Changsheng and the others. The human and physical evidence is here. Does the Yu family have any explanation yet? Lu Changsheng, dressed in a green robe, spoke calmly and indifferently. "Fellow cultivators, there might be a misunderstanding about this matter. Our Bai Lake Mountain has allied with your Qingzhou Mountain and Hundred Birds Lake to jointly operate the Red Leaf Valley Market. How could we possibly do such a thing? There must be some misunderstanding here. But as to what exactly happened, I have been in seclusion and cultivation all this while, and am not clear on it. Nevertheless, if Lu Daoist is willing to return the corpses of our family's ancestors and my brother, my Yu family is willing to offer compensation." Yuninghu clenched his fists inside his sleeves, doing his best to keep his voice calm as he spoke. He knew that with the Lu family's preparedness and strong presence, there was clearly intent behind this visit. Today, if their Yu family didn't bleed heavily, this matter couldn't be resolved easily. Since that's the case, this matter can be settled with your Bai Lake Mountain spiritual lands as compensation. Lu Changsheng spoke out blandly. Chapter 597, The Dust Settles. A 10-year promise. _1 What? You wish. You are really pushing too far. Elder, let's fight them to the death if we must. In Bai Lake Mountain, Yu family cultivators who heard these words were furious. They killed their elder ancestor and now wanted Bai Lake Mountain as compensation, an outrageous demand. Lu Daoist must be joking. Bai Lake Mountain is the ancestral land of my Yu family, we cannot simply hand it over as compensation. Yuninghu raised his hand, calling for everyone to be quiet, suppressing his rage as he spoke with a gesture of respect. Elder. Big brother. Ninghu. The Yu family members, watching Yuninghu face such aggressive demands and yet only able to bow and scrape, felt indignant and frustrated but were left speechless. After all, their 3 foundation establishment ancestors had died at the hands of these 4 people. They were no match for Lu family and the others. This person is indeed talented. Lu Changsheng, observing the still calm Yuninghu, thought to himself. He knew that if he really seized the Yu family's land, this person could not be left alive. He looked at Yuninghu and said indifferently, joking? I assure you, I am not joking. Today, the Yu family will either voluntarily offer Bai Lake Mountain as compensation or I will take it myself. Lu Daoist, do not go too far, my Yu family is not to be trifariously bullied. My Bai Lake Mountain is protected by a second-rank great formation, even if you 4 manage to break the formation, it's not certain, Yuninghu said with a cold look, his voice icy. He knew he couldn't keep retreating. Otherwise, it would appear that his family was weak and easily bullied. However, before he could finish, Ling Zixiao stepped out from the spirit boat, her hands forming seals, as she cast 2 tokens and several flags into the air, circling above. At the same time, a silver prohibition-breaking talisman was launched towards Bai Lake Mountain. Boom! Instantly, the Bai Lake Mountain Great Formation showed intense fluctuations, causing the hazy mist to churn turbulently, vaguely revealing the interior of Bai Lake Mountain. A second-rank Great Formation for protection? If you now willingly offer Bai Lake Mountain as compensation, my husband will gift you Ming Creek Mountain as your Yu family land, ensuring your family's safety for the future. Otherwise, the moment the Great Formation breaks today, will mark the doom of your Yu family. Ling Zixiao stood in the air in her flowing blue dress, her graceful figure outlined, her eyes clear and cold as she spoke. A prohibition-breaking talisman? An array master. Yuninghu saw this and his eyes narrowed. He immediately realized that Ling Zixiao was an array master. Only an array master could use their family's formation commands to affect the operation of the Great Formation. Instantly pinpointing the formation's weak points and effectively attacking with the prohibition-breaking talisman caused such a disturbance. Ling Daoist is actually an array master. Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang were both startled. They had heard that Ling Zixiao was an array master. They thought at best she was a top-level first-grade array master. But now, Ling Zixiao's swift actions clearly showed it wasn't that simple. Other Lu family members such as Lu Miaoyun and Lu Miaohuan looked on in surprise from the other spirit boats. They hadn't expected the always graceful and tranquil Ling Zixiao to be not only a foundation establishment great cultivator but also an array master. If you all intend to seize our Yu family land, then there's nothing more to discuss. Even if we must die, we will not hand over our ancestral land. We'll fight to the bitter end. Yuning's heart trembled, and he spoke with clenched teeth. The weight of his whole family's future was on his shoulders. Naturally, he couldn't just part with their ancestral land after a few words from the other party. How could he face his ancestors in the future? He would live in guilt and shame all his life. Everyone, form the array. Yuninghu shouted, mana surging, instructing the Yu family cultivators to channel their energy into the Great Formation, preparing to activate it for battle. A fight to the bitter end? If you won't listen to reason, then you will be buried with Bai Lake Mountain. Ling Zixiao's face remained calm and collected as she spoke coldly. With a flick of her hands, she slapped her storage bag. Whoosh, 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 an array plate and hundreds of formation flags appeared. She manipulated the array plate, sending the flags flying in all directions to start the array formation. Bai Daoist, to the southeast. Lu Daoist, to the northwest. My husband, use the prohibition-breaking talisman, attack the mountain directly. Ling Zixiao directed the 3 of them, signaling the assault on Bai Lake Mountain. This command took the 3 of them by surprise. They hadn't expected Ling Zixiao to resort to breaking the formation and attacking the mountain without any preamble. But the three of them also understood that in the current situation, they absolutely could not show weakness. They had to keep the initiative in their hands. All right. The three of them did not hesitate and answered in unison. Following Ling Zixiao's instructions, they went to their corresponding positions to attack the formation's weak points. If it weren't for Yu family's formation commands, breaking through today wouldn't have been so easy. Ling Zixiao looked at Bai Lake Mountain, let out a light laugh, then manipulated the array plate and shouted, "Formation, activate." Boom! In an instant, streams of spiritual light spread out, causing the spiritual energy within Bai Lake Mountain to surge violently. The great formation was trembling. What is happening? Not good. They're using our family's great formation tokens to disrupt the formation's operation, attempting to break the formation with their own formation. Elder Ancestor. Elder Ancestor, what do we do? Faced with this situation, the cultivators of Bai Lake Mountain began to panic. Currently, their family's protective great formation was their only reliance. But now, this sole reliance showed a breach. You too, take action, break the formation. Ling Zixiao looked toward the people on the other 4 spirit boats and instructed. Chapter 598, The Dust Settles. A 10-year promise. Have them attack the great formation head-on. Her mental spirit is limited. Controlling the formation on one hand and transmitting sound to let Lu Changsheng and the others break the formation was already her limit. There was no way to command the rest of the people, she could only let them add pressure to the great formation. Boom boom boom, the by-water azure sky great formation of Bai Lake Mountain, under Ling Zixiao's array and everyone's attacks, glowed erratically with spiritual light. The spiritual energy within the formation surged tumultuously, making the entire Bai Lake Mountain seem to tremble, and the mana within the cultivators was unstable. My spiritual power is out of control. Not good, she's seizing control of the great formation. Big brother, what should we do? Ninghu. Panic instantly spread within Bai Lake Mountain. Everyone looked to Yu Ninghu, waiting for him to make a decisive decision. Although among these people, some were not afraid to die and wished to fight against Lu Changsheng and the others. But now the great formation had been disturbed and influenced by the opponent, even fighting for control. Continuing this way, they were utterly powerless to fight back, let alone make a last stand. Moreover, within Bai Lake Mountain, many of the Yu family's side branches and non-surnamed members didn't have deep feelings for the family and didn't want to die here like this. Damn it. Yu Ninghu clenched his fists tightly, his face grim and unsightly. He had never imagined that their family's great formation would seem so vulnerable at this moment. He had previously realized that the identity token of the family ancestor was an array token that could impact the great formation and that someone could sneak into the family. But he never expected that the opponent would have an array master. Directly using the array token to break the formation with a formation, externally disrupting the operation of their own great formation. At this moment, he also guessed how their own family's ancestors had perished. They surely were lured into a killing formation prearranged by the Lu family, and through that formation, their ancestor was suppressed and killed. How ruthless of the Lu family. So well hidden. This time, making Lu Miao breakthrough to foundation establishment at Jianghu Mountain was clearly a deliberate ploy to lure our Yu family there. Inside the sleeves of Yu Ninghu, his fists were clenched, veins bulging. He deeply realized that his family had fallen into a trap. To think that he had fallen into the Lu family's hands so easily. And now, the Lu family were demanding Bai Lake Mountain as compensation, presumably using the moral high ground as an excuse to force his family to comply and to make a move against them. Otherwise, with the current strength of the Lu family, guarding both Jianghu Mountain and Bai Lake Mountain would also be difficult. They would have to face the covetous gaze of surrounding hostile families. Lu Changsheng, his gaze shifted toward Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao. He knew that these two were the real formidable enemies. One, a second-rank master of the talisman path with many talismans. The other, a second-rank array master, using formations to break formations. Turn. Ling Zixiao, dressed in flowing blue robes, tall and graceful, her normally calm and elegant pale face now showing a hint of imperious coldness. As she parted her red lips slightly, the array plate in her hand was thrown out, and in an instant, the array flags all around burst into spiritual light, their energies intertwining, causing the earth's energy within by Lake Mountain to churn and the spiritual energy to shake. Pfft! Not good. She's manipulating our by Lake Mountain Great Formation, seeking to use its power to suppress us. With the spiritual energy inside by Lake Mountain shaking, some Yu family cultivators who were only at the early or middle stages of qi refinement immediately felt turmoil in their qi and blood. Especially those Yu family members whose qi was integrated with the Great Formation were at this moment emitting heavy groans, their breath in disarray, either coughing up blood or feeling oppressed. Such an array technique. Who is this person? How did Lu Changxing come to know such an array master? Yuninghu, suppressing the mana and blood in him, revealed a shocked expression in his eyes. Although Ling Zixio's prowess couldn't cause much harm to him as a Foundation establishment great cultivator, the ordinary mortals and qi refinement cultivators within the mountain were facing severe injuries. What she said about burying the entire by Lake Mountain with them was not an empty threat. Moreover, as the opponent operated the Great Formation, he could feel Ling Zixio's array might continue to climb higher, seemingly brewing a terribly fearsome strike. If you're still delusional, then don't blame me for overturning your by Lake Mountain, making the whole mountain the burial ground for your decision. Ling Zixio's eyes were as cold as water. Her pale beautiful face at this moment had an indescribable domineering aura, her charisma captivating. This woman isn't an ordinary second-rank array master, likely she's a high-quality second-rank array master. Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang, looking at Ling Zixiao, couldn't help but feel a dryness in their throats. They had come into contact with array masters before, having learned some knowledge about the formation path. They knew that Ling Zixio's level was far from ordinary. Her skill level was extremely high. At the same time, they were astonished that Lu Changxing could form a cultivator pair with such an outstanding woman. Didn't expect Zixiao to have such a domineering side. Lu Changxing, looking at Ling Zixio's unmatched charm, thought to himself. When Ling Zixiao was with him, although it was evident she had some pride, overall she was gentle, dignified, and understood the bigger picture, making her very comfortable to be around. She never showed such an imperious and domineering side. But thinking about it, he could understand. Ling Zixiao, in both cultivation and the formation path, was a prodigy. At a young age, not only had she broken through to Foundation establishment, but she was also a second-rank array master. How could such a splendid woman not have pride? It was only because of the dragon roar physique that she had been weak all along, and coming to Jiuxiao Immortal City, she concealed her inner pride. But in Jiuxiao Immortal City, Ling Zixiao had also made quite a name for herself. Now, in the Qingyun region, facing families like the Lu family and the Yu family, she probably had some disdain in her bones. Chapter 599, The Dust Settles. A 10-year promise. This situation was somewhat prideful, which was quite normal. Damn it. Big brother. Ancestor. We might as well fight them to the death. The people of Bai Lake Mountain shouted toward Yuninghu, their expressions either anguished and furious or panicked and desperate. Except for a few senior members, most of them only had the cultivation level of the qi refinement initial or middle stages. Under the might of the Great Formation, the qi, blood, and spiritual power within their bodies surged turbulently. If this continued, they were certain to die. Now, with the death of their family ancestor and his body suspended before them, and them, facing the enemy, could not even talk of revenge, let alone fight back or resist, how could they not be angry or desperate? Boom boom boom, the by-water azure sky Great Formation, under the assault of Ling Zixiao, Lu Changxing, and others, kept making thunderous noises. The dense mists and wandering runes and spiritual lights that enveloped it all dimmed considerably. Under increasingly fierce attacks, the magic aura inside Yuninghu began to surge as well. Looking at his own cultivators and younger generations struggling under the might of the formation, each with pale faces, disordered breaths, and vomiting blood, his face twisted, his fingernails piercing his palms until they bled, he suddenly raised his head and shouted at Ling Zixiao, "Stop! Fellow Daoists, please stop. My Yu family is willing to offer by Lake Mountain as compensation. Yuninga's voice became extremely hoarse. To hand over the ancestral foundation willingly, he was naturally reluctant. But if people are lost without the land, both will be lost. If the land is lost but people remain, both can be kept. As long as the green hills are there, there's no fear of running out of firewood. If today he could bring the other party down with him, he would naturally be willing to risk his life. But now, facing Lu Changsheng and others, they had absolutely no strength to fight back. At most, they could only make the opponents suffer some losses and be seriously injured. Such anger, hatred, and desperation were meaningless. If that's the case, open the formation quickly. Upon hearing this, Ling Zixio's expression was clear and sharp, and he said in a cold voice. Ninghu. Big brother. Ancestor. The other Yu family cultivators, hearing these words, all looked toward Yu Ninghu. Some were sorrowful and furious. Some were relieved and breathed a sigh of relief. I ask my fellow Daoists to make a heart demon oath. As long as my Yu family is willing to offer by Lake Mountain as compensation, let this matter end here. Yuninga's face was filled with bitterness, with unwilling tears in his eyes. Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao exchanged glances. Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang, hearing this, also stopped their assault. Soon, the four made a heart demon oath. They stated that if the Yu family offered all the foundations of Bai Lake Mountain as compensation, the feud between the two families would thus be settled. Open the formation. Seeing that Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao and others had made heart demon oaths, Yuninghu gritted his teeth and shouted loudly at the people. At this moment, even if some were reluctant, they could only follow the order. Boom! The mountain gate grand formation of Bai Lake Mountain was opened. Immediately, Ling Zixiao stopped his assault and took out a second-rank spiritual contract. In Red Leaf Valley, they established a treaty, binding the Yu family to commence the signing of the contract with Yuninghu. It stated that, given their mutual grievances, today the Yu family would offer Bai Lake Mountain as compensation to the Lu family, to Lu Changsheng. In return, the Lu family would provide the Yu family with a temporary residence at Shaojing Mountain. The Yu family must reside at Shaojing Mountain for 10 years. During this 10-year period, neither family may attack the other. Additionally, the Yu family must cooperate in transferring all the properties under the name of Bai Lake Mountain. This is impossible. Upon seeing the spiritual contract, the patriarch of the Yu family, Yuning Yuan, immediately exclaimed loudly. Now, by relinquishing Bai Lake Mountain, their Yu family still had hopes of a resurgence, relying on the family's properties. But once all the properties under Bai Lake Mountain were transferred, it would be exceedingly difficult for the Yu family to rise again. Fellow Daoist, isn't this a bit too coercive? Yuninga's expression was ugly as he addressed Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao, unwilling to sign such a contract. Not only does his family have to confine themselves for 10 years, but they also have to cooperate in transferring family properties during these 10 years. It was tantamount to the family relinquishing their animosity and becoming a vassal to the Lu family for 10 years. How could he possibly agree to such a thing? You Daoist friend, you now have no choice, Ling Zixiao said coldly. After speaking, she laughed lightly and added, of course, we won't be too unreasonable. As long as your Yu family cooperates, we can preserve some of your properties. Sigh. Yuninga's eyes closed tightly as he took a deep breath and exhaled. He knew that at this moment, his family no longer had any negotiating leverage. Eventually, the two parties finalized the contract. If the Yu family cooperates within 10 years, some of their properties can be retained. Regarding the division of properties, those far from Bai Lake Mountain or in some smaller marketplaces would be given to the Yu family. However, properties around the Yu family, like those in the Red Leaf Valley Market and the Nine Dragons Market, would all be transferred under the name of the Lu family. But please grant us some time to relocate. After signing the contract and handing over the control of the family's grand formation, Yuninghu looked completely drained, overwhelmed with weakness. Even though he knew that his actions today were for the sake of preserving the family, it was still difficult for him to face his ancestors after surrendering the family's ancestral lands and foundations on a silver platter. When you relocate, I hope none of you will do anything destructive. After all, from today onwards, Bai Lake Mountain will be the spirit land of my lord husband. Ling Xixiu's pale and delicate features softened their chill, revealing a dignified and elegant demeanor as she spoke softly. However, everyone who saw her demure form and frail appearance dared not underestimate her. My lord husband's spirit land? Upon hearing this, Yuninghu turned to look at Lu Changsheng. He suddenly realized that he had misjudged the situation. The Lu family wasn't using the demand for Bai Lake Mountain as a spirit land to take the moral high ground and force his family into submission to seize their legacy. Everything today was led by Lu Changsheng and the woman named Ling Zixiao. It was Lu Changsheng who desired to take over their ancestral land and establish his own sect. At this moment, regret surged through him. He understood that if Lu Changsheng wanted to establish his own sect, he could have taken advantage of the Grand Formation not being activated earlier to negotiate terms with Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao. Although he couldn't defeat people like Lu Changsheng, he could have used the Grand Formation to sabotage his family's fishery, herb gardens, spirit fields, and spirit veins. Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao certainly wouldn't want to receive a ruined and dilapidated Bai Lake Mountain. But now, with everything settled, he had nothing more to say. Chapter 600, Blue Lake Mountain Lu Family. Stirring from all directions. July bonus chapter for 2,500 monthly votes, _1, congratulations, Lu Daoist. Now that the matter is settled, I shall not stay long and will make my way back first. As the dust settled on the issue, Bai Yunyang bid farewell to Lu Changsheng with clasped hands, indicating his intention to return to Hundred Birds Lake. White Daoist has worked hard on this trip. Once the matter is fully dealt with, we will find time to drink and celebrate together. Lu Changsheng clasped his hands slightly toward Bai Yunyang and said with a smile. Although Bai Yunyang hadn't exerted too much effort on this trip, such an affair, for someone to willingly offer assistance and show their stance, was already quite commendable. In response, he was willing to reciprocate the kindness. Moreover, he had long thought out his own family's path. His main focus was to avoid strife, make wide connections, and believe that harmony brings wealth. Good, when Lu Daoist establishes your family's grand ceremony, I will definitely come to observe the ceremony and join you for a drink and a chat. Upon hearing this, Bai Yunyang immediately responded with clasped hands and a smile. In his expression and words, however, he couldn't help but convey a measure of respect and awe. Although everyone was a foundation establishment cultivator, there were still differences between individuals. The Lu Changsheng before him, who single-handedly killed 3 foundation-building great cultivators, how could he not feel a deep sense of reverence toward him? He felt fortunate that he had befriended Lu Changsheng on this trip. Otherwise, with the combination of Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao, which neighboring family or power wouldn't live in apprehension? Having said that, he also clasped hands towards Ling Zixiao and Lu Yuanzhong and bid them farewell aloud. Daoist Bai, take care. Nephew Bai, go slowly. Ling Zixiao and Lu Yuanzhong nodded slightly. Screech. The next moment, Bai Yunyang released a black flying eagle from his spiritual pet bag at the energy refinement late stage, and rode away on it. Zi Shao, are you alright? After watching Bai Yunyang leave, Lu Changsheng approached Ling Zixiao, took her fair wrist, and checked on her condition. He had always been aware of Ling Zixiao's physical condition. Although she had recovered considerably after more than a year of care, the atrophy of her meridians and dantian had not been resolved. If she used too much mana, it would injure her meridians and dantian. Just now, Ling Zixiao's effort to break the formation would certainly have placed a certain load on her meridians and dantian. Husband, it's nothing serious. Ling Zixiao conveyed to Lu Changsheng through a message, speaking in a soft tone. However, as Lu Changsheng held Ling Zixiao's wrist to examine her condition, he immediately saw that her meridians and dantian were under severe strain, a total mess. If it continued, there was fear of meridian damage. Instantly, he understood that Ling Zixiao had actually reached her limit just now and had been bluffing Yuninghu. With her current condition, she was truly unable to continue using mana to break formations. Changxing, someone needs to be stationed in the family. Miaoga is still at Foundation establishment. Shall I go back first? At that moment, Lu Yuanzhong spoke to Lu Changxing from the side. With the issue of Blue Lake Mountain settled. In his view, having Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao stationed there was sufficient. Now that Qingzhou Mountain was in a vulnerable state, protected only by the Great Formation, he had to get back early. Good, old ancestor, you have worked hard on this matter. You take Miaoyun and the others back first, leave a few elder family members skilled in dealing with affairs, and they will take over the Yu family affairs with me later, said Lu Changxing, nodding to Lu Yuanzhong. Since Ling Zixiao was currently unwell, needing proper care and healing, he planned to settle down in Blue Lake Mountain. He would wait for the Yu family to complete their relocation and handle their affairs. But he was not very adept at dealing with family affairs, so he needed a few people to help. Good. Lu Yuanzhong, upon hearing this, immediately arranged for several people to stay behind at Blue Lake Mountain with Lu Changxing. Yuner, Huan, you two follow the old ancestor back first, and I will come to pick you up later, Lu Changxing said, advancing towards his wives Lu Miaoyun and Lu Miaohuan. Husband, be careful. The two women nodded in response. Looking towards Lu Changxing, there was also a newfound reverence in their eyes. As his wives, they thought they were quite familiar with Lu Changxing. But Lu Changxing's actions and performance that day made them realize that they did not really understand their husband as much as they thought. Be careful as well, he responded. Huan, keep that puppet for self-defense, said Lu Changxing in a gentle voice, knowing his wife had many questions in her mind. But, such matters were not something he had time to explain right now. After speaking, he looked towards the children on the spirit boat and called out, Xianji, Yuner, Xiaoru, you three stay behind and help the family elders with the Blue Lake Mountain affairs later. Lu Changxing spoke to his sons Lu Xianji, Lu Yun, and his daughter Lu Xiaoru. Once Blue Lake Mountain was fully taken over, he naturally wanted to place his children in charge. Now that Lu Xianji and a few other people had arrived, he wanted them to get acquainted with the situation first. Yes, father. The three children responded, some excited and pleased. This caused other children and Lu family disciples to look at them with some envy. After that, Lu Changxing and others settled in with the Yu family. During this time, Lu Changxing wasn't worried about the Yu family causing any trouble. After all, the control of Blue Lake Mountain's Great Formation was now in the hands of Ling Zixiao. Moreover, if it really came down to a fight, he alone could wipe out all of the Yu family members. Shortly after, Lu Changxing began healing Ling Zixiao in a room, stabilizing her physical condition. Yu family ancestral hall. Big brother, do we really have to move? Ninghu, all the core disciples and elders of the Yu family looked towards Yu Ninghu with faces filled with unwillingness and righteous indignation. Move. Yu Ninghu spoke with a calm and indifferent expression. Now that the old ancestor is gone, and the situation is beyond our control, what else can we do if we don't move? Do you really want to fight to the death? If fighting to the death could avenge our old ancestor, I, Yu Ninghu, would naturally not be afraid. But, that would be nothing more than a needless sacrifice. Our Yu family history records that 300 years ago, our ancestors rose from a small energy refinement family step by step, broke through to Foundation establishment, seized Blue Lake Mountain, and established the Blue Lake Mountain Yu family. Chapter 601, Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Stirring from all directions. July bonus chapter for 2,500 monthly votes. How much worse can we be now than we were back then? As long as we're alive, there's hope for the future. Yu Ninghu looked at everyone, his voice ringing with determination. Listening to Yu Ninghu's words, they felt reluctant but understood the rationale. All began to go back, gather their belongings, and prepare for relocation. Big brother. Yu Ningyuan looked at his elder brother, his voice choked with emotion. As the patriarch of the Yu family, handing over the foundation of Bai Lake Mountain to others was unbearably frustrating. Hold back. Keep the family vendetta and hatred hidden in your heart. Do not reveal it. Lu Changxing has trapped our Yu family on the small Jing mountain for 10 years, just to make us forget our family's hatred. But how can we forget the vengeance for stealing our home and ancestral murder? How dare we forget? Jianghu patted his shoulder, his voice hoarse with emotion. In the elegant room, Lu Changxing used the yin-yang nirvana art and life transference technique to nourish Ling Zixiao's meridians and dantian, quickly stabilizing her physical condition. Afterward. Zi Xiao, you won't need to do this anymore. Lu Changxing, holding Ling Zixiao in his arms, whose body was fair and blushing from exhaustion, spoke in a gentle voice. Though he stabilized Ling Zixiao's meridians and dantian using the secret technique, the past year's efforts on her body had been in vain. To see Ling Zixiao recover, their only hope was for Lu Maiage's Tai true water, or to chance upon some heavenly materials and earth treasures, elixirs. It's not convenient for you to reveal your strength right now, my husband, so there are some things you can't do, and naturally, I have to do them. Moreover, now that your family is newly established, the surrounding families will surely be covetous. Only by showing enough strength outwardly can we have a deterrent effect. Ling Zixiao nestled in Lu Changsheng's arms, her voluptuous body soft as silk, almost limp, her pale and elegant face still flushed as she spoke softly. Having accompanied Lu Changxing to Jianghu mountain for over a year, she knew he wanted to establish a family power, so she spent time understanding the situation in her spare time. She knew that in the Qingyan region, in addition to Bai Lake Mountain, Jianghu Mountain, Hundred Birds Lake, and Wugong Ridge, there were many other family powers. Establishing a family power naturally required sufficient deterrent force. This way, the surrounding families would acknowledge them, making it convenient for future actions. And today, in her view, was a good opportunity to establish authority and show strength. Of course, there were other reasons. For example, as Lu Changsheng's partner, now that the family was established, she naturally had to establish a certain prestige, so that she could act conveniently within the family in the future. Her actions today were also about establishing prestige for herself. On another note, the two had met in Jianghu Immortal City. It had always been Lu Changxing who was giving unilaterally to her. A proud person at heart, she also wanted to do something for Lu Changxing. You've worked hard. Lu Changxing, holding the delicate warmth in his arms, spoke warmly. He certainly understood this principle, but seeing Ling Zixiao willing to make such sacrifices for him, he was still touched. He knew that his efforts over the past year with Ling Zixiao had been somewhat effective. My husband, Jianghu, is no simple man. And there are certainly many in the Yu family who harbor jealousy and vengeful feelings toward us. We naturally have no fear, but our children at home will have trouble facing this sort of thing. My thoughts are to first grasp the current situation and attitude of the Yu family clearly. Then, directly ask the Shadow Pavilion to take action and remove the Yu family. Ling Zixiao snuggled in Lu Changsheng's arms, looked up at him with a gentle voice. Through her brief contact before, she also felt that Jianghu was not simple. And she didn't believe the Yu family could really let go of the vendetta for land theft and ancestral murder. Perhaps the common children of the Yu family could let it go, but core members like Jianghu and Yuan, who had deep family affection, would absolutely not let it go easily. And these people were precisely the main fighting force of the Yu family. So these people had to die. Shadow Pavilion? As Lu Changxing heard this name, his brows furrowed. Though he hadn't heard this name before, he had a hunch about what kind of organization it was. Shadow Pavilion is an underground organization in Jianghu Immortal City. As long as you can afford the spirit stones, you can hire someone to carry out assassinations. Once the situation cools down in a few years, and we have a clear understanding of the core members of the Yu family outside, we can leave the matter to the Shadow Pavilion. Ling Zixiao explained to Lu Changxing. Having established herself in Jianghu Immortal City, she's obviously not a simpleton, possessing certain cunning. Otherwise, with her dragon roar physique unable to utilize the foundation establishment cultivation, how could she stand in Jianghu Immortal City? It seems we were thinking along the same lines. Lu Changxing, upon hearing this, smiled and spoke. Ever since Ling Zixiao talked about imprisoning the Yu family on small Jing Mountain for 10 years, he guessed that she would not let the Yu family off easily. He felt the same. After all, how could a family feud like this be easily resolved? It's a pity I gave the Misty Sky bead to Nangong Mili, otherwise, with the Misty Sky bead, handling this matter would have been much easier. Lu Changsheng then thought of his mysterious bead, Misty Sky bead. This treasure could not only deceive spiritual contracts but also perfectly disguise others. It's extremely suitable for things that must be done out of sight. Since my husband thinks the same, then that's the best we could ask for. Upon hearing this, Ling Zixiao showed a smile. During the year and more they'd spent together, Lu Changxing had struck her as an unconventional man but still somewhat noble. Chapter 602, Blue Lake Mountain Lu Family. Stirring from all directions. July bonus chapter for 2,500 monthly votes, worrying that Lu Changxing would not contradict himself after signing a spiritual contract. Such matters, how can they be resolved just by talking about it, Lu Changxing said, shaking his head slightly. As he spoke, he looked at the snowy, crystalline, plump body in his arms, and getting up, he said, Zi Shao, my yin-yang origin source has already recovered these days. Instantly, the soft body, like silk and cotton, completely melted into water and mud, her voice coming in staccato waves. 3 days later. A message spread amongst the many surrounding families, causing no small disturbance. Blue Lake Mountain had changed hands. The Yu family of Blue Lake Mountain had repeatedly offended the Lu family of Jianghu Mountain. 1.5 years ago, Lu Miaofeng of Jianghu Mountain had a breakthrough in foundation establishment, but due to the interference and harassment from the Yu families Yu Jinyang, Yu Yuanshan, and Yu Ningjuan, the attempt failed. This time, as Lu Miaoga of Jianghu Mountain attempted the foundation establishment breakthrough, the 3 from the Yu family attacked again. Who would have thought that Lu Maiage's husband, Lu Changxing, not only had a breakthrough in foundation establishment while away but also obtained a top-tier talisman path inheritance. Facing the 3 Yu family foundation establishment great cultivators, he deployed hundreds of talisman, creating a talisman refinement formation, and single-handedly slaughtered all 3 foundation establishment adversaries. Immediately after, the Lu family of Jianghu Mountain joined forces with the Bai family of Hundred Birds Lake to demand an explanation from Blue Lake Mountain. During this process, Lu Changsheng's partner, with a token of formation acquired from the Patriarch of the Yu family, actually used an array to break the array, bravely confronting the Yu families, by Shui Tian Qing Great Formation. In the end, they forced the Blue Lake Mountain Yu family to compensate by surrendering their ancestral estate, Blue Lake Mountain. Later, Lu Changxing notified the surrounding families that, in 3 months, he would hold a ceremony at Blue Lake Mountain to establish a new clan. To establish the Lu family of Blue Lake Mountain. At Wugong Ridge Zheng family. Lu Changxing of Jianghu Mountain has seized Blue Lake Mountain, set up his own sect, and established the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Upon reading this news, the patriarch of the Zheng family was so shocked he was at a loss for words. For a moment, he didn't know whether to rejoice or to worry. He had not much time left to live, now only 2 to 3 years remaining. So, he had pledged allegiance to the Yu family of Blue Lake Mountain early on. But unexpectedly, now the Yu family had been overthrown by the combined forces of the Lu family of Jianghu Mountain and the Bai family of Hundred Birds Lake. The family's spiritual land, Blue Lake Mountain, had become the family's spiritual land of Lu Changxing, the son-in-law of Jianghu Mountain. Lu Changxing, Lu Changxing. Initially, I only thought this man was extraordinary, with an innate gift for the talisman path, but I did not expect that he not only achieved foundation establishment but also attained a top-tier talisman path inheritance. I heard that Weiner is already bearing Lu Changsheng's second child, and I don't know how talented these 2 children will be or whether they can support my Zheng family in the future. The aged patriarch of the Zheng family had a withered face, dim eyes, full of wrinkles, as he sank into deep thought. After a long time, he transmitted a message to someone outside his cave dwelling. Have Ming Lang come see me. Lu Changxing has one big hobby, marrying wives, taking concubines, and having children. But now that he has broken through to foundation establishment, he no longer fancies ordinary women. Otherwise, I would marry several Jing family daughters to Lu Changxing as concubines. If they bear children with exceptional talents in the future, it might ensure the safety of my Jing family. The patriarch of the Jing family muttered to himself. Now that the Yu family of Blue Lake Mountain had fallen, he had to find a new support for the Jing family before he died. And the new master of Blue Lake Mountain is, in his opinion, worth the investment. He had read up on Lu Changsheng's background and knew that Lu Changsheng was a man who valued loyalty and friendship, especially when it came to his wives, concubines, and children. If a few girls from his own family could marry Lu Changsheng, winning his favor and bearing children with decent talents, even if Lu Changsheng one day wanted to seize Wugong Ridge, he would treat his Jing family kindly for the sake of his daughters and their offspring. But the thought of sending his own daughters to be concubines for Lu Changsheng, only to bear children one after another, effectively ruining their paths to cultivation, made him sigh deeply, his face wrinkled with a tremor, his eyes dull and lightless. Yinshan Marketplace. Lu Changsheng, how is this possible, how? Yuning Yuan couldn't contain his anger and disbelief upon hearing the news that the patriarch of the Yu family had fallen and that Blue Lake Mountain had been taken by Lu Changsheng. Back then, when he went to Nine Dragons Market to recruit Lu Changsheng, he was so condescending. Now, he had just broken through to 9th level energy refinement and was stationed outside, while Lu Changsheng had not only achieved foundation establishment but also killed his great ancestor and taken their family's spirit land. Nine Dragons Marketplace. Lu Changsheng of Qingzhou Mountain, slayed 3 patriarchs of the Yu family, took over Blue Lake Mountain, and wishes to establish the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Yu Maocheng and his wife, Yuningrong, looked at each other when they heard this news, at a loss for words for a moment. They were naturally aware of Lu Changsheng, having had a good relationship with him before. Since their families faced each other, Yuningrong had even married off her friend's daughter, Yun Xianxian, to Lu Changsheng as a concubine. It was just that after Lu Changsheng left the Nine Dragons Market, their relationship gradually cooled. Yun Xianxian and Yuningrong occasionally corresponded with letters and had met a few times. Now, upon hearing news of Lu Changsheng once again, they learned of his defeating the Yu family's 3 venerable ancestors and becoming the master of Blue Lake Mountain. Rongmei, Yu Maocheng looked at his wife, hesitant to speak. He wanted to offer words of comfort, but didn't know what to say. Husband, we are both of this age now, what can I do with the family facing such a disaster? Yuningrong, knowing what her husband wanted to say, had a bitter smile on her face. Although she was an offshoot of the Yu family, she had grown up on Blue Lake Mountain. Now hearing that her own family had been destroyed and her ancestors slain, how could she not be affected? But she was only a minor cultivator at 6th level energy refinement. Now that her children had all settled down, what could she do, what could she take part in? A valley shrouded in miasma. Lu Changsheng, the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain's son-in-law, born from humble beginnings, has broken through to foundation establishment and received the talisman path inheritance. Just having recently achieved foundation establishment, he relied on a talisman formation to single-handedly kill 3 foundation establishment cultivators. In the cave dwelling, a middle-aged man dressed in a black brocade robe, with a dark and slightly stiff countenance, read the information in his hands. It seems this talisman inheritance is not ordinary, and he can even gift others with foundation establishment elixirs. This Lu Changsheng's fortunes must be considerable, and there's an array master. If he could be controlled, these 2 would be of great use to our clan. The figure in the black robe had dark eyes, tinged with a hint of crimson, mumbling to himself. Chapter 603. It took 3 days for the Yu family to complete the relocation. Yuninghu, together with the clan cultivators and the younger generation, all moved to Shaojing Mountain. As for the Ji family of Shaojing Mountain facing the relocation of the Yu family, they naturally had nothing to say, nor dared to say anything, but could only agree. However, Lu Changsheng didn't do anything to oppress others with his power. He spent 16,000 spirit stones to buy the property rights of Shaojing Mountain. He made the Ji family a vassal, allowing the Ji family and the Yu family to live together on Shaojing Mountain. After the relocation was completed, according to the contract, Yuninghu arranged for 10 Yu family juniors to work with Lu Changsheng to transfer the property rights and family affairs of Bai Lake Mountain. Bai Lake Mountain is about 31 miles long and 25 miles wide. There are 4 spirit veins in total: Bai Yun Peak, Bai Shui Lake, Lake Heart Island, and Lingsue Cliff. Among them, Baiyun Peak is a second-rank middle-grade spirit vein, while the others are all first-grade top-grade, high-grade spirit veins. Because the spirit veins crisscross many areas, although without spirit veins, are close to them and nourished by spiritual energy, which makes them suitable for cultivation as spirit fields to grow some spiritual crops. Lu Changxing was looking at the information introduction about Bai Lake Mountain. My lord, now that the Yu family has completed their relocation, we can also take a good look at this Bai Lake Mountain. Ling Zixiao, wearing a blue long dress, with an elegant face, spoke. Due to her injuries and the Yu family's relocation, she had been recuperating in her room these days, not leaving the house. Alright, in that case, let's go and have a look. Lu Changxing smiled upon hearing this, put down the jade slip in his hand, and walked out of the courtyard with Ling Zixiao. Afterward, he called a Yu family junior to act as a guide to introduce the situation of Bai Lake Mountain. This is the spirit field of our, Bai Lake Mountain. Since Bai Lake Mountain mainly produces Bai Shui Lake fish, there are not many spirit fields cultivated. These spirit fields are for ordinary spiritual crops, which even mortals can cultivate and plant. These 1,000 acres of spirit fields are all first grade, planted with first grade high grade jade marrow rice. These 180 acres of spirit fields are second grade spirit fields, planted with our Yu family's exclusive spirit rice, Bai water rice. Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao inspected the entire Bai Lake Mountain, with a Yu family junior constantly speaking, introducing the situation. Have the cultivation methods for these two types of spirit rice been transferred? Ling Zixiao looked at the spirit rice and spirit paddy in the spirit fields and asked. Each spiritual land has its differences in soil, climate, and environment. Hence, the methods of planting and cultivation are not universally applicable. For example, the Bai Jade Spirit Bamboo and Shui Jade Bamboo rice of Jianghu Mountain might not thrive if planted on Bai Lake Mountain. Even if they could grow, their growth and effects would not be ideal. Like this jade marrow rice and Bai water rice, they were the result of the Yu family's exploration over 100 years, summarized over generations. It can be said that they are most suitable for cultivation on Bai Lake Mountain, maximizing yield. Now taking over, they naturally would not easily change and decide to plant other crops. Therefore, Ling Zixiao would certainly not miss out on these cultivation methods, intending to have the Yu family leave them behind. The cultivation methods for jade marrow rice and Bai water rice have already been fully transferred. The Yu family junior said with a somber voice. Now that their own spiritual land had been taken, they could only settle in Shaojing Mountain. And here he was, explaining their own spiritual land to others, which made him feel incredibly stifled. Ling Zixiao nodded slightly. After inspecting the spirit fields, the three proceeded to Bai Shui Lake. Other than some fish and shrimp, the most famous in Bai Shui Lake are the red blood carp and Bai blood carp. This Yu family junior was introducing the situation of Bai Shui Lake. Beneath Bai Shui Lake lies an aquatic spirit vein. Therefore, it can continuously produce spiritually enriched fish and shrimp. The most famous among them are the red blood carp and Bai blood carp, two types of spiritual fish. The Yu family junior also mentioned that almost every 10 years, Bai Shui Lake would produce a dragon carp. This dragon carp is also known as the lesser dragon breed. Consuming it not only strengthens the body and extends one's life but also enhances the potential of snake, python, and dragon-kind demon beasts, making it extremely rare. Dragon carp? Lu Changxing, upon hearing this, glanced at Bai Shui Lake. He had tasted the Yu family's red blood carp and Bai blood carp. But as for the dragon carp, the Yu family did not sell it externally, so he had only heard of it and never actually tasted it. When did the dragon carp last appear? Lu Changxing asked aloud. It seems to be 6 years ago, the Yu family junior replied. Hearing this, Lu Changxing didn't ask further. Then they arrived at Lake Heart Island in the center of Bai Shui Lake. Lake Heart Island is not large, covering about 10 acres. There stood a Bai Lake villa for the Yu family's side branches and those with different surnames to reside. After a brief tour, the three followed the water vein to a fish farm. This fish farm was developed from the second-grade middle-grade spirit vein of Baiyun Peak and connected to the water vein of Baishui Lake, full of spiritual energy. It is specifically used to nurture red blood carp and bi-blood carp, to cultivate carp kings. These carp kings are second-grade spiritual fish, each worth hundreds of spirit stones. Lu Changxing looked at the fish farm in front of him. Experience tales with Empire currently, there weren't many carps inside. He estimated that the Yu family had just harvested or that the fry were not yet mature. Of course, it was also possible that the Yu family, during the relocation, had secretly fished out the carps. After inspecting the spirit fields, by Shui Lake, Lake Heart Island, and the fish farm, the three visited Lingsue Cliff. Lingsue Cliff had been exploited by the Yu family as a mountain for cultivating spiritual medicine. However, Lingsue Cliff was now bare, with only some common spiritual medicine and immature spiritual medicine remaining. Not a single mature advanced level spiritual medicine was left. CTH Novelier. NET website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This was part of the agreement with the Yu family, whereby they could take all of the mature advanced level spiritual medicines with them. After all, a smooth handover required their cooperation. Just allowing them to take away the advanced level spiritual medicines was within an acceptable range. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 604. This Lingsue Cliff is connected to the second-grade spiritual vein of Baiyun Peak and possesses second-rank spiritual energy. In due time, we can plant the luminous treasure tree here. After roughly assessing the situation of Lingsue Cliff, Lu Changxing silently reflected. After looking over the general situation of Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Changxing sent the Yu family junior away and proceeded to Baiyun Peak with Ling Zixiao. There were many pavilions, estates, and grand halls here. These were the dwellings of the Yu family's direct descendants, elder statesmen, and the family head. Now, they were all empty. Seeing the plaques on these buildings, Lu Changxing didn't rush to replace them immediately. He planned to have them systematically taken care of later. The two strolled from the base of Baiyun Peak to the summit. At the top was a grand hall, both simple and magnificent, with the Jinyang Hall inscribed above it. Presumably, it was where the patriarch of the Yu family, Yu Jinyang, resided. Entering the grand hall, they reached a deep chamber where the spiritual eye spring was located for seclusion. Inside, the spiritual energy was incredibly dense, almost reaching the peak of second grade. It seems that this second-grade spiritual vein of the Yu family is just a step away from ascending to upper second rank, Lu Changxing said with a light laugh as he sensed the abundant spiritual energy, considering it a pleasant surprise. If he so wished, he could elevate this place to an upper second-grade spiritual vein using the spiritual eye spring. My lord, if you have extra spirit stones, you could acquire some spiritual origin pearls. Then, you can set up a formation to upgrade this spiritual vein to upper second rank, Ling Zixiao suggested with a soft smile, sensing the spiritual energy. Spiritual origin pearls were the lowest grade of spiritual eye items. At their level, it was the kind of spiritual eye item they had access to. We can pay some attention to this in the future, Lu Changxing nodded and responded. Currently, he definitely wouldn't use the spiritual eye spring to upgrade the spiritual vein. If he could purchase spiritual origin pearls, they could be used to upgrade the spiritual vein of Baiyun Peak. However, these spiritual origin pearls were also quite rare, only seen at major auctions or private trading events. In the future, we can consider planting the Mount Sumra Tree King here, Lu Changxing said as he stepped out of Jinyang Hall, feeling that the summit would be suitable for planting the Mount Sumra Tree King. This peak belonged to the restricted area of Bai Lake Mountain, where only the family's patriarchs had access. However, if planted here, it would need Ling Zixiao to set up a formation to keep it concealed from outsiders. My lord, the Yu family has been on Bai Lake Mountain for 100 years. They've perfected their layout and planning. The main second-rank vein on this Baiyun Peak is used by the direct descendants of the family for cultivation. The main vein extends two branch veins, one connecting to Lingsue Cliff, the other to Bai Shui Lake, where they have established fish farms, for cultivating spiritual medicine and raising spiritual fish. The ordinary family members and members of foreign surnames reside at Lake Heart Island and Lingsue Cliff. From what I see, there is no need for major changes in this layout and planning. When the time comes, we'll just need to reorganize the spiritual veins and the overall Great Formation, Ling Zixiao stated from the summit of Baiyun Peak, looking down upon by Lake Mountain. Indeed, the Yu family's current layout and arrangements are reasonable. There's no need for major changes, Lu Changxing agreed, nodding. He, too, felt there was no need for changes. However, I've taken a look. Although the Yu family has an alchemy room, it's quite rudimentary. Discover exclusive tales on Empire. It will need to be refurbished in due time, Lu Changxing said aloud. The Yu family probably had never produced a second-rank alchemist. Thus, they only had a rudimentary alchemy room, where the earth fire could only concoct first-grade elixir medicines. That shouldn't be a problem. I will set up a formation in Baiyun Peak to nurture a line of fire veins. However, since the spiritual veins of Bai Lake Mountain are primarily water veins, it will take some time to nurture a line of fire veins, Ling Zixiao whispered in response. She knew Lu Changxing was a second-rank alchemist. He required sufficient earth vein fire for alchemy. There's no rush for that. Let's wait until you've recovered a bit before we do it, Lu Changxing spoke up. Given Ling Zixiao's current physical condition, he wouldn't want her to overexert herself. My lord, there are still many mortals on Bai Lake Mountain, as well as some cultivators of foreign surnames. Since you're short on manpower, these people could be put to good use. However, we still need to recruit new farmers and fishermen, Ling Zixiao continued, looking down below. The Yu family, although they had moved away, couldn't possibly take away the large number of commoners. Additionally, some cultivators not originally from the Yu family were unwilling to leave with the Yu family due to the turmoil. Theoretically, these people belonged to Lu Changxing, the new master of Bai Lake Mountain. SEA the Novel Fire, any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After discussing with Ling Zixiao, Lu Changxing adopted a lenient policy. If one had a particular skill and wished to stay, they could remain. If they were unskilled, then, regrettably, they had to leave within a month. Sure, when you have the time, you can directly arrange these matters. If you don't have the time, well, let Yuner and the others take care of it later, Lu Changxing suggested. He could tell that Ling Zixiao was quite invested in matters concerning family management. If she was willing to take charge, he was content to let her handle it. If she was unwilling, then he was equally satisfied to delegate the tasks to his other spouses and children. Let Miaoyun and the others take care of these matters. With Qingzhou Mountain support, it'll be more convenient for them, Ling Zixiao smiled faintly. She wasn't overly interested in family affairs. Her involvement in family management stemmed solely from boredom at Qingzhou Mountain. She hoped that Lu Changxing would establish his own family power soon. Now that he had acquired Bai Lake Mountain, she was naturally willing to put effort into its development. But she preferred not to worry too much about family affairs. All right, in a few days, they'll bring Yuner and the others over, and they can handle these situations, Lu Changxing concluded. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 605. Lu Changxing smiled and nodded, standing shoulder to shoulder with Ling Zixiao as they overlooked the entirety of Bai Lake Mountain. One could see the vast waving Bai Shui Lake, brimming with life, and the fresh, verdant Lingsue Cliff, dripping with vigor. From now on, this is my family spirit land. At this moment, a sense of satisfaction welled up within Lu Changxing. He was no longer living under someone else's roof. He had his own family spirit land now. He could finally settle down and take root. Not only will I bring Miaoyun and the others here, but when the time comes, if there are children from Rui Prefecture who wish to come to Bai Lake Mountain, they can be brought over as well. Even if they live in an ordinary area, the nourishment from the spiritual energy will relatively make it easier for them to give birth to offspring with spiritual roots, thought Lu Changxing. Beyond their own spirit veins and the cultivation of spirit fields, the Yu family had also allocated an area for the ordinary, non-spiritual root members of their clan to live. Even though the ordinary area lacked spirit veins, it possessed a certain amount of spiritual energy, much better than that of the secular mundane world. Long-term residence there could strengthen the body, improve health, and extend lifespan. Moreover, relative to other environments, children born there would have a higher probability of having spiritual roots. So, he planned to settle any offspring willing to live on by Lake Mountain there. For those unwilling or wishing to venture into the mundane world, they could spread their branches and leaves within Rui Prefecture. Search *the Nell Fire. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I wonder if Sister Miaoga is almost done with her foundation establishment. At this time, Lu Changxing thought of Lu Miaoga, who was still in the midst of her breakthrough. According to the timing of foundation establishment, Lu Miaoga should also be almost done with her breakthrough now, Qingzhou Mountain. In recent days, all disciples of the Lu family had been discussing the matter of Lu Changxing setting up his own clan on Bai Lake Mountain. They had mixed feelings about it, both happy and conflicted. On one hand, they were thrilled and excited by the astonishing strength displayed by Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao. On the other, they felt trepidation, worried about being overshadowed. Yet seeing Lu Changxing establish his own clan and leave Qingzhou Mountain, they felt a sense of loss. They felt that if Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao continued with the Lu family, the rise of Qingzhou Mountain would be unstoppable. Just then, above Qingzhou Valley, the whirlpool of spiritual energy began to slowly dissipate. Accompanying this was a scene of rainbows spreading like rainbows after a storm. Look, the whirlpool of spiritual energy above Qingzhou Valley is starting to fade. The whirlpool of spiritual energy is dispersing and rainbows are spreading, which means foundation establishment is successful. Sister Miaoga has succeeded in her foundation establishment. Now that Uncle Changxing wishes to establish the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, will Aunt Miaoga also go to Bai Lake Mountain? She probably won't. Even if she goes to Bai Lake Mountain, it will be to oversee both sides. Many Lu family disciples, upon witnessing this scene, were invigorated with excitement. But in the next moment, some began to wonder if Lu Miaoga would go to Bai Lake Mountain with Lu Changxing establishing his own clan. Miaoga has succeeded in foundation establishment. Outside the cave, Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding saw the scene, exchanged glances, and both saw delight on each other's faces. Discover exclusive tales on Empire during these days. They had been closely following Lu Miaoga's foundation establishment progress, feeling anxious. Despite having the foundation establishment elixir and Lu Changxing's preparations, it was still foundation establishment, and they could not help their worry. Now, seeing the signs of successful foundation establishment, the anxiety that weighed on their hearts was finally lifted. Father, great-grandfather, the next moment, they heard a soft, soothing voice. The voice, gentle like the warm breeze of spring, smoothed out the anxiety and emotions within them. Then, a figure emerged from the cave, clothed in white garments purer than snow, with a stunningly beautiful face, a slender figure, and a transcendental aura. Miaoga? Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding, seeing the figure in front of them, Lu Miaoga, both looked surprised. Although Lu Miaoga still had her former appearance, she seemed like a completely different person. Her 3,000 strands of black hair fell like a waterfall, simply draped over her shoulders, emitting a soft luminescent glow. Her skin, as white as frost and as flawless as mutton fat jade, and her pure face, had gained an extra bit of ethereal and enchanting beauty. Especially her eyes, like limpid autumn waters, seemed to contain a whole galaxy, exuding a universal tolerance, a tranquil sanctity, and a transcendence from the mundane. Miaoga, have you concluded your foundation establishment? Lu Yuanding, looking at his daughter in front of him, was momentarily at a loss for words. The change in Lu Miaoga was so great that it made him, her father, feel ashamed by comparison. Yes, father, I have concluded my foundation establishment, Lu Miaoga said softly, with slightly parted lips. Her calm voice held a hint of joy. After all, this was foundation establishment. The breakthrough she had always longed for and dreamed of achieving. But the surprise prepared for her by Lu Changxing had muted her excitement. Good, good, good. Upon hearing this, both Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding exclaimed in joy, overwhelmed with happiness. Soon after, the three engaged in idle chatter, with Lu Yuanzhong telling Lu Miaoge about the matters concerning Lu Changxing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 606, Jing Family Vassal, Moving Out. _1, Talisman Path Inheritance, Slaying 3 at the Foundation Establishment. Array Master, breaking the formation with another formation. Lu Miaoge was utterly astonished as she listened to Lu Yuanzhong recounting the events of the past few days. Especially upon hearing that Ling Zixiao, as an array master, had shaken the Yu family's great formation by breaking the formation with another formation, her amazement knew no bounds. Because Lu Changxing had told her about Ling Zixiao's situation. Dragon Roar Physique, Withered Meridians and Dantian, mana barely 1/10 remaining. In such a state, Ling Zixiao still possessed such fighting strength. If he were at his peak, how astounding it would be. Unknowingly, the women around Changxing have all become so outstanding. At that moment, Lu Miaoge couldn't help but feel somewhat inferior to Lu Changxing. Feeling that her husband was not just growing more impressive by the day, but the women by his side, like Xiao Xia, Ling Zixiao, Meng Xiaochan, each one was remarkably talented and beautiful. While she, had it not been for the cultivation technique, foundation establishment elixir, and foundation establishment spirit objects given to her by Lu Changxing, would still be whiling away her time at the 9th level energy refinement. How could she possibly achieve a breakthrough to foundation establishment, let alone condense a perfect Tao foundation? Sigh. She took a deep breath and gently exhaled. Then, turning to Lu Yuanzhong, she said, "Uncle, Changxing had spoken to me about establishing our own clan a long time ago. It's just because of the family situation, we never brought it up. We planned to wait until I had established my foundation, and the family was stable, before we started preparing for this, so we haven't had a chance to inform you," Lu Miaoge said as such, her demeanor as serene as water. When Lu Yuanzhong was recounting these matters, she could sense a hint of wistfulness in his words. Knowing that Lu Yuanzhong felt slightly uncomfortable that Lu Changxing had not given them prior notice about establishing his own clan without any hint, she promptly shared some of Lu Changxing's earlier thoughts and actions with Lu Yuanzhong. Explaining that Lu Changxing has long been planning to purchase an appropriate spiritual land to establish the clan, but they were waiting, for Lu Yuanzhong had been severely injured and the Lu family lacked a foundation establishment member to stabilize the situation. So they intended to wait until she broke through the foundation establishment phase. Now with the Yu family attacking, it just so happened to provide the opportunity, and since she had also completed her foundation establishment, they seized by Lake Mountain to establish the clan. So it was, Changxing is considerate. Upon hearing this, both Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding showed smiles on their faces. They weren't uncomfortable or distrustful of Lu Changxing regarding this matter, rather, Lu Yuanzhong felt that the initiative had always seemed to be in Ling Zixiao's hands. Ling Zixiao knew of Lu Changxing's plan to establish a clan and took the initiative to manage these matters. If Lu Miaoge was completely in the dark, it would imply that she was less significant than Ling Zixiao. Now that they heard how much preparation Lu Changxing had made for Lu Miaoge and how much he had considered for the Lu family, they were instantly reassured. "Miaoge, now that you've broken through to foundation establishment, what are your plans?" Lu Yuanding looked at his daughter and asked. One of the main reasons the Lu family agreed to marry Lu Miaoge to Lu Changxing was because this son-in-law took root in Jianghu mountain. Now that Lu Changxing was establishing his own clan, it was reasonable for Lu Miaoge to go to Bai Lake Mountain if she wished. "Father, Changxing had already discussed this with me a while ago. I will temporarily preside over Jianghu mountain. Besides, we are only a few thousand miles away from the two houses now, and we can easily come and go between them for any matter." Lu Miaoge gently spoke, clearly understanding the implication of her father's words. Currently, the Lu family ancestor, Lu Yuanzhong, was suffering from corpse poison in his organs, with his life hanging by a thread and in extremely poor condition. Now that she had broken through to foundation establishment, naturally, the family hoped she would become the Lu family ancestor of Jianghu mountain, stationed there. Initially, when Lu Changxing mentioned establishing his own clan, she had been torn about this issue. After all, Jianghu mountain was where she was born and raised. And Lu Changxing was her current family, She could not let go of either Qingzhou Mountain or Lu Changxing. Fortunately, Lu Changxing was very thoughtful and did not put her in a difficult position. Stating that the family he would establish in the future would not be too far, convenient for travel between both sides. Now, Lu Changxing had established the family on Bai Lake Mountain. Being only a few thousand miles away from each other, it was very convenient to travel back and forth. Uncle, I have previously modified the cultivation technique Changxing gave me. Its mana has healing effects, which might help with your injuries. Lu Miaoge did not dwell on this topic and spoke to Lu Yuanzhong. Now that she had broken through to foundation establishment, her mana could condense Tai True Water, which had the effect of healing wounds and reviving with miraculous hands. The cultivation technique given by Changxing? Both Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding nodded slightly at her words. From the spiritual energy phenomenon during Lu Miaoge's foundation establishment breakthrough and the changes after her breakthrough, they roughly guessed that Lu Miaoge had modified some other cultivation technique. Because only certain rare heavenly and earthly treasures, or top-tier cultivation techniques, can cause such a transformation and transcendence in a person. Alright, Miaoge, I'm troubling you, Lu Yuanzhong said. Since his niece had offered, he naturally would not refuse. Tai True Water. Lu Miaoge channeled her mana, placing her right hand, which radiated an azure halo, in front of Lu Yuanzhong's chest. Infusing the condensed Tai True Water to nourish Lu Yuanzhong's internal organs. This, Lu Yuanzhong's face was momentarily stunned, surprised in his eyes. Through this Tai True Water, he instantly sensed that the mana of Lu Miaoge, who stood before him, was even more formidable than his own as the second-level foundation establishment Lu family ancestor. Amazed, he wondered what level of cultivation technique Lu Changxing had given to Lu Miaoge, what type of Dao foundation she had condensed. To think that she was so powerful and remarkable as soon as she had broken through the foundation establishment stage. As the Tai True Water seeped into his body, he immediately felt his internal organs being nourished, slightly tingling. The organs that had been eroded by corpse poison, which he could only maintain by his own mana, now felt an unprecedented ease. Chapter 607, Jing Family Vassal, Moving Out. After a moment, Uncle, how do you feel? Lu Miaoge released her hands, a fine sheen of sweat like delicate pearls forming on her fair, jade-like forehead. Although she had made a breakthrough to foundation establishment, condensing the Tai True Water to heal others significantly drained her mana. In just a short while, it consumed most of her mana. If she continued, it could harm her own vitality. Much better, Miaoge, thanks for your hard work. Lu Yuanzhong voiced his gratitude to Lu Miaoge. His internal organs had significantly relieved. If he could be treated like this once a month, living several more decades wouldn't be a problem. Good, 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 today is truly a day of double, no, triple happiness, we must celebrate properly. Lu Yuanding, hearing this, laughed heartily. Today, his daughter had made breakthrough in foundation establishment. And his brother's condition was alleviated by his daughter's treatment, which meant he could live for many more years, a cause for celebration indeed. Adding in Lu Changxing establishing Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, it was indeed triple happiness. Indeed, we should celebrate properly. However, about my condition, there's no need to reveal it to others. Now that Miaoge has made her breakthrough, and my condition has improved, people will instantly suspect it's related to Miaoge and Changxing. There's a saying, the outstanding tree in the forest will be blown down by the wind. Changsheng's killing of the Yu family's 3 foundation establishment cultivators and establishing Blue Lake Mountain Lu family has put him in the limelight. If we spread too much news, it might bring unnecessary trouble to Changxing. Lu Yuanzhong took a deep breath and spoke. You're right, Changxing is currently drawing a lot of attention. Many families and powers must be watching him, so we should keep a low profile. Lu Yuanding nodded and spoke gravely. Lu Changxing had been back from his foundation establishment for just over a year, and he had already killed 3 people from the Yu family and seized Blue Lake Mountain to establish his own family. Many people were aware of the situation at Qingzhou Mountain. They could likely guess that Lu Miaoge's foundation establishment had something to do with Lu Changxing. Under these circumstances, spreading too much spectacular news could add trouble to Lu Changsheng's plate. After all, in the cultivation world, there were always individuals coveting others' opportunities. After chatting for a while, they announced to the family that Lu Miaoga had broken through to Foundation establishment. Instantly, the entirety of Jianghu Mountain bubbled with excitement and celebration. Blue Lake Mountain. Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixia were preparing to head to Jianghu Mountain to bring Lu Miaoyun and his other wives and children over. At that moment, he received a letter from his son, Lu Xianji, saying that ancestor Zheng from Wugong Ridge Jing family had come to visit. Lu Changsheng had a significant impression of this ancestor Zheng. During his own second-rank talisman master ceremony, ancestor Zheng had personally offered a direct descendant with a 5th-grade spiritual root as a concubine to him. "I'll go take a look," Lu Changsheng said to Ling Zixiao. He then headed to the mountain gate. Ancestor Zheng. Lu Changsheng was somewhat surprised to see ancestor Zheng from the Jing family outside the formation, his white hair showing signs of age, his face withered and shrouded with the aura of twilight. For years ago, although the man was old, he hadn't been in such a state. A Foundation establishment cultivator who had aged so much was likely to have only a few years left to live. "Lu Daoist, I hope you won't take offense at my sudden visit today," ancestor Zheng, his face wrinkled, a slight ingratiating smile on his face, said as he clasped his hands in a greeting. Ancestor Zheng's visit graces us greatly, please come in." Lu Changsheng, having a hunch about the reason for ancestor Zheng's visit, invited him inside. In the past, the Jing family had a good relationship with the Qin family. But since Red Leaf Valley Qin family was destroyed, and ancestor Jing's lifespan was waning, seeing no succession for his family, he chose to depend on Blue Lake Mountain Yu family. Now, with Blue Lake Mountain changing hands and the Yu family gone, ancestor Jing naturally had to reconsider his position. Inside a grand hall, Lu Changsheng took out some spiritual tea from his storage bag to entertain ancestor Zheng. "Lu Daoist, I won't beat around the bush. You must be aware of my Jing family's situation." Ancestor Zheng made a bit of small talk, then got straight to the point, describing his family's predicament. He expressed that his own life wouldn't last much longer, with only a few years left at most. The only thing he couldn't let go of after death was the future of his family's descendants. Therefore, he was willing to submit to Blue Lake Mountain, asking for its protection and offering 3/10 of Wugong Ridge's profits to Blue Lake Mountain. "Ancestor Zheng, you jest. Our families are within sight of each other and should support one another as equals. There's no talk of submission." Upon hearing this, Lu Changsheng immediately voiced his refusal. He had discussed with Ling Zixiao recently, knowing that after killing the 3 Yu family Foundation establishment cultivators and taking over Blue Lake Mountain, he had become the center of attention, watched by many. If he were to now accept the Wugong Ridge Jing family as a vassal, it would completely put him in the spotlight. Moreover, his family understood their own affairs. With over 100 children in the growth stage, the entire family relied solely on him to oversee everything. Under these circumstances, where would he find the time and energy to worry about other families? Accepting the Jing family as a vassal would mean more income from tributes and easier future marital connections, but the disadvantages far outweighed the benefits. Lu Changsheng was very clear about what his family needed, to keep a low profile and grow steadily. With the system by his side, all he needed to do was peacefully cultivate his land, plant trees, raise fish, and take care of his children. Then, gradually, he would make a name for himself as Master Lu, the unparalleled expert of pills and talismans, and build the puppet factory he envisioned. In the future, his family wouldn't lack income and needn't get involved in trouble. Hearing Lu Changsheng's refusal, a shadow of gloom flickered across ancestor Zheng's eyes. He sipped his tea lightly and smiled. "Lu Daoist, my Jing family has a girl named Jing Xiuyun, ancestor Zheng. If it's about taking her as a concubine, I might agree to this marriage proposal. But if you're proposing her as a wife, I must apologize." Lu Changsheng, after hearing ancestor Zheng's proposition to marry a Jing family girl with a 4th-grade spiritual root to him as his wife, meditated briefly before responding.